Welcome, everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas coming to you from the wholehearted.org studio. Yeah, it's a different look. I'm not at home. I'm in Sacramento with Trish and our new friends, AJ and Lucas and the Wholehearted team. And tonight's Saturday Night Live is going to be a really special show as we're going to learn so much more about how to really embrace greater health and wellness in our lives. And we're going to hear from some of the top leaders in health and wellness, including Gabor Mate, TJ Woodward, and many others. We also have some amazing comedy for you, great music with Donna DeLore. So it's pretty special. And to tell us a little bit more about the show, I'm going to turn it over to our two co-hosts. And that's my teaching partner, Trish Wright, and the founder and creator of wholehearted.org. I want you to meet my friend, AJ Fox.
Well, first, I would love to just give a big loving shout out and a twinkle to Deborah Giusti, who's, working her magic in the background and taking a break for the break. We love you over there. And I really am so excited to introduce AJ, who is, again, the co-founder of wholehearted.org and one of the most loving, generous, kind, and beautiful, both inside and out, man I've met. Take it over.
Well, thanks. I am generous and kind when I'm well fed and in a good mood. We have a lot of people that we're going to hear from tonight. I'm excited to share with the viewers all the amazing people we work with. We have video clips and we have presentations. We have people live, ranging from courses and trainings to talks to documentaries to filmmakers. Not exactly sure how you want to start.
Well, you know what we'll do? Let's show that. Usually we always like to introduce all the people going to be on the show. So we're going to do that by showing the promo video.
Yeah.
So here's who you're going to be seeing tonight.
Yourself or you perceive the other person as having hurt you, your response is to withdraw.
Many men are taught to not access their feelings.
Humor will highlight hurt, illuminate illness. That's what it does.
Hey, there we go. So yeah, we've got, going to have some magic with Jeff McBride, wonderful music with Donna DeLore. And I want to remind everybody, those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, you can still come into our Zoom room. And that's really highly recommended because that way it's easier for you to converse with our presenters and we can hear from you more clearly. So it's easy, just go to globalpeacetribe.com. globalpeacetribe.com and register. And it's easy. And what's wonderful about that is that way you can then, we have your email address. We don't give with anybody else. That's Donna DeLore getting ready to play music that we hear, by the way. And we love you, Donna. We love you. We're going to put the spotlight on you in just a moment. Let me finish doing my pitch for registration. So what we want to do is really register. And that way you get an email. Deborah sends it out every Monday with the replay of tonight's show and access to all of our previous shows. This is I think it's our 70th show. We've been doing it every Saturday night since the pandemic began. So we've got amazing people, speakers, shows, go back and get them. Also by being on our email list, you're going to get special announcements about some of the upcoming special events that we're doing. And with no further ado, we always like to start our show with music. And we've got one of our absolute favorite musical artists with us tonight. It's Donna DeLory. You know her from her wonderful albums. She's been with us for a while, entertaining us. This is, I think, her third time on Saturday Night Live. And Donna, you've got kind of a special song and a special story for tonight's topic.
It's very appropriate. Yes, I wrote this song a few years ago about a loved one and dealing with them with addiction and a very traumatic event that happened and obviously woke them up to a lot. It was a really great opportunity for me because I come from parents that were addicts, and I've had those people around me during my life, and to really finally find really strong boundaries on a whole different level was really powerful for me. And also just healing through music and writing this song was just so important. And this took me a few years to really finish it and put it out on a record. It's on my new album called We Shine. Really personal song, and it's called Two Secrets. Asked me to come inside. There's something you gotta say, 'cause you might die. You've got some money stashed away. You've been filling up your veins, trying to still the pain. Two secrets you had to say, 'cause you might die with your two secrets. Why'd you have to go shoot at all? Was it worth the hype? Was it worth the hype? What hurts the most are all the lies. You go to outer space. I'm asking why. The angels watching you. I'm so afraid I'll never know the truth, but I'm still here holding you. Two secrets you had to say, 'cause you might die with your two secrets. I won't be the one to help you hide. I look in your eyes. I know you're scared tonight. Will you go back to that world of no guilt and shame? The little girl you held so tight, she is gone away tonight. She's gone away, and nothing feels the same. Everything has changed. Secrets, I won't be the one to help you hide. goodbye to secrets. What you have to go, shoot it all alive. Was it worth the hype? Was it worth the hype? You can't see me cry. You can't see me cry. So
Donna, thank you so much. Just want to take a moment for all of us to think of those moments like you just sang about, where someone we love is making self-destructive choices and we love them and they don't see us crying. They can't feel the pain we're experiencing because of their choices. And we've all been there. It's a tough one, isn't it?
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have been talking about the way in the chat box about how they play you music. And just for anybody, want to remind you that you can go to her name, DonnaDelory.com. Donna Delory, DonnaDelory.com. And both the songs you're going to play tonight, you're going to do another number later tonight, are off of this album, the We Shine album. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it's a beautiful album, a lot of string arrangements, lush arrangements, and it's probably a softer album in some ways for me, very lyrical. And then I just finished a meditation album that's going to be coming out in a couple months, which I'm really happy about. I just listened to the mastering, and it's like when you get your record mastered, it's the final touches. And it's been long enough for me away from the mixing to be like out of my left brain somewhat, and just experience it as other people would, when you just let some time go by as an artist and then come back to it. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm happy to share it with the world.
Beautiful. And that meditation album will be out August 1st?
No, it's going to be later, probably actually September, mid-September.
Mid-September. Well, definitely, let's off camera set up a time to have you on right around the time that it comes out so we can maybe play a track and promote that, because I'd love to. That fits right into obviously who we are and what we do on Saturday Night Live. So I'd love to have that.
All right. Thank you always for your support.
Donna, we'll be back. We're going to have a little more Donna Delory in a little while. So thank you, Donna. We'll see you in a moment. And I'm going to turn it back over to AJ to introduce our next speaker.
Well, before we do that, we're going to introduce Wholehearted Plus.
That's right. That's right. Tell us about Wholehearted Plus.
So we're going to play a short video for you that's going to give you just kind of a short little overview of some of the programs in Wholehearted Plus. Wholehearted Plus is a monthly or annual membership option, $14 or $98, that gets you all access to all of our general public programs. We can go ahead and cue up the video. When
Okay.
ready.
The clearer you are, the clearer we are about your own intention for whatever we do, the more focused our work is going to be. Now, those of you that have had significant recovery from addiction, what did you get back? You got back yourself. And what does that tell us? It means that your true self was never destroyed. But you're a mirror in which you could see the possibility of her not being that way. So it's not hope, it's possibility. And every human being has got that possibility, by the way.
It's amazing all that you're doing, AJ.
Well, thank you. It's not me. It's not just me. It's a lot of other people. So we've got a ton of programs coming to Wholehearted Plus. We already have a bunch on there. Many of the people that you see tonight already have programs on Wholehearted Plus. Many of them have a lot of programs. So I'm super excited to introduce our next guest. It would be an understatement to say that he is essentially responsible for wholehearted.org. It would not exist without him. Really, I mean that. Mark Lundholm, my friend, someone that we've worked with for like a decade now. He has an entire library of content on wholehearted.org. He is a comedian. He is an actor. He is a father. He is my friend. He has been one of the most influential people in my life and in the lives of the people that participate in making Wholehearted possible. I want to just introduce him quickly, and then I want to go to a reel so people can kind of see a little bit of what he's like in action. But first, Mark, you just want to say hi first.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very nice introduction. I like the father part. That's my favorite job. Your friend is a lot of work, but and those other things are all like occupational hazards. You know, the actor, the writer, the whatever it was. They're all true, but that father thing, that's my favorite job.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and cue up your little promo video that we put together for you.
We got it. But tell us, since father is the number one thing, tell us about your children.
I have 3 kids from 3 different mothers because I used to tour as a comedian.
Right.
And a lot of dysfunctional family trauma in my background kept representing itself in my behavior, layered in. We're serial marriers in my family. And so I've got relationships that start and stop. In fact, take 2. Let me give you the opening to a corporate show. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I'm Mark Lundholm. The presentation you will see tonight will start at the end, move back to the beginning, and finish without any warning at all, like most of my relationships. Well, so I do that in a tongue-in-cheek way, but I promise you that was most of my life.
Yeah.
I'd start at the end and then try to move back to some kind of healthy, hopeful, upbeat. And then in the middle, it would just break off.
Wow.
So I've got 3 kids, 33, 23, and 14.
Wow.
I'm about due to make another one this weekend,
that's
I think.
Right, that's right.
This is really, really serious stuff at times, but the lightheartedness is if we survive our own behavior, sometimes we get to change that for other people. It's really cool. My kids got great tools, all of them. And they've never been loaded or locked up or in trouble.
Wow.
You know, so yeah, I got 3 of them. That's the short answer.
Well, thank you for being with us, Mark.
Surely.
So tell us a little bit about the video we're about to see.
Well, Mark hasn't seen it.
Oh, Jay, anything you want to say?
It's a short clip that kind of shows Mark in action, so people can get a little bit of what Mark is like out on stage and on his show. And if you ever happen to run into him at one of the many airports he's in every week.
All right, here we go.
Hey everybody, I'm Mark Lundholm. I'm a comedian, or I'm a man with a mental illness who's done a lot of jail time, who has learned how to market both of those things as skills so I could pay a lot of child support. Yeah, that's me. NA and Easter. It's like peanut butter and jelly. Simon and Garfunkel. Breaking and entering. Did you ever think in your life you'd be in a situation during the time you were alive that you just sneeze in public, and all of a sudden, it's like you walked into church with no pants on. Ooh! If you don't laugh real hard, it's not because I wasn't funny, it's because you are broken. I'm Joke Boy. I'm the freak boy. I'm the cousin you want invited to the party, but not talk to any members in your family. I use funny as a leverage tool. I use humor as a highlight. Where does it hurt? Let me help. Okay. Boy, I've met friendlier spiders. You ever had such low self-esteem? I mean, low self-esteem, that you're making love to somebody and you think, I can't trust them. Look at the choices they make. Shh. Whisper until Monday. She likes that. What? I'm huge in Bulgaria. Stop it. What the? Dysfunctional? Certainly. Yeah, I'm the oldest of 5 kids. In our house, ADD stood for all different dads. Yeah. In the front of the inmates section, there's a guy. He's the man. Huge, muscle-bound, ripped, buff, cut. He's got muscles in his eyes. And he said, hey, funny man, I've got friends on the outside. They will find you.
tie you to a tree in your yard, burn your house to the ground. I remember thinking, this is a heckler. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Well, most of my job is incredibly funny, and as a result, funny lets us kind of raise the trust level and raise the truth level, and we get to some help we need. It's a, Mary Poppins, spoonful of sugar, right? You're not old enough to remember that movie.
I am.
There's a new one. Didn't they have a new version?
Yeah, there's a new everything. They just remade Moses. Did you know that?
Again?
Yeah, it's a lady playing the part. But there's really an old school, old fool kind of approach to, if I make it funny, we relax, and if I'm funny and somewhat humble or inviting, there's less threat. So relax, less threat, less defenses, and they start talking. Yeah. They tell me stuff they won't tell their parents or their priest in an hour.
Yeah.
Seriously, and it's kind of cool, but the art is to use it for them, not against them or about them, really. So, but the comedy works, and I've had good teachers, So far, so good.
All right.
Laughter is an excellent tool.
What's that?
Laughter is an excellent tool.
Yeah, it has been for me, and it used to be like I don't know if people out there really give it the weight that it can carry in a like a clinical setting. The humor, the laughter. It's like a scalpel. I'm not a slasher, but I'm not a surgeon. But if you cut into that just deftly enough to where there's a chance to get at some of the underlying whatever toxic there is there, it comes out on its own.
Yes.
You don't have to dig or swab or push so much. I've gotten really good at that, but it's been 30 plus years of doing it. But that humor it used to be a shield between, you and me, or me and the truth, or my future and myself. It was always shielding stuff. Well, all we do is raise that up. It becomes a shelter, not a shield. So it covers instead of distances, the same thing. It's you put a shield up, you protect it from the rain or elements or rocks coming down. Humor's like that. My kid goes to a nice school. My ex-wife is very friendly with me. Ex-wives, very friendly with me. Joke in the show. On my tax return every year, now that I have one, I write, when it says occupation, I write comedian. I'm allowed to do that because that's what I do. What I could write is occupation, man with a mental illness who's done a lot of felony time, who has learned how to market all of those things as skills so he could pay a bunch of child support every month. That's right. But the line is not big enough on the form to write that. So, but that in itself used to be painful, talking about that, the split up, the loss, the grief, hey, I'm not with my kids. They got a second dad again, that kind of stuff. All that wellness that comes with telling the truth. Ooh, it's easier if it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to tell all of our viewers that what we're going to do is the show's going to go, we're going to keep it really tight. And we're going to be finished very close to 8:00 p.m. Pacific time. But then during our after show, Mark and AJ, Trish, myself, possibly TJ, we're going to answer your questions. So go ahead and think about what your questions are. I will need for you to repeat them to us after the after show gets started. But I'm already seeing questions coming in, and we are going to tackle questions in the after show. All right.
Well, before we move on, I just want to say that summarize kind of what Mark was saying and kind of what you said, humor is a good tool. One of the first things I heard Mark say was humor tames the shame. If you can laugh about it, you can talk about it. And that changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that created a whole new opportunity for us as clinical content producers to use humor to touch on things that are really painful. Yes. Which is why at the end of that little promo, you saw something that looked like credits. Those aren't credits. Those are every single program Mark Lindholm has on Wholehearted, which is like 20 programs. So any flavor of comedy or education that has anything to do with recovery or dysfunction or getting from a place of what Mark would say, first thought wrong to next right thing, is covered and is available to the general public.
Yeah. And Emily has written down in the chat box, humor tames the shame. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
I think we got somebody that we all love about coming up next. Yeah.
Yeah. So TJ Woodward, another person that we do a lot of work with and probably has, the second most number of programs on Wholehearted. He spent the last 15 years developing conscious recovery, which is a unique, effective trauma-informed strategy to help those struggling with addiction to find their authentic self. He really understands the underlying wounds that individuals have, and he's able to help them achieve deep healing. It's used in many treatment centers, and it's growing rapidly. We have his books and his programs available at Wholehearted. Let's play a reel so people can see a little bit of TJ, and then we'll invite him onto the show.
Emotional trauma is very significant in our culture. I remember working with a client who at the age 11 lost his father. He had a mother and 2 sisters. And he shared with me not 1, not 2, not 3, but multiple people approached him at the funeral and said to him, "You're the man of the family now, be strong for your mom and sisters." And so there was a message there that it wasn't okay for him to emote, to have feelings, to be connected with his feelings. Many men are taught to not access their feelings. You might have been told that it's not okay to feel, or maybe in your family system, no one talked about emotions. That is emotional trauma. Which is a greater change agent, criticism or love?
I have had the good fortune to work with TJ personally and professionally. He's wonderful. And welcome, TJ. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, Mark.
Hi, TJ.
Before I forget, I have to tell you something really funny offline, but I'm not going to say it here. But
Okay.
Oh, now that's a tease.
Awesome.
That
Wow.
is a tease.
Wow.
Only for you, I would say something like that. And AJ, thank you for inviting me on the show. And what I really want to talk about, because that video is focusing on emotions that so many of us have been taught that it's not okay to feel. And as that video was playing, I was thinking back just really quickly in my own journey and remembering being a very little kid. And, in case you're all wondering, I was a little sensitive boy at a time and place when little sensitive boys weren't necessarily celebrated. We'll just put it that way. And I do remember feeling so much pain and just taking on so much pain from the world at a very early age, watching on TV, seeing violence, seeing like all the isms that I heard, people saying things that were so racist and sexist. And I had an experience of closing my heart that was really profound. And in a way, because a lot of times people will ask me, why did I start conscious recovery? And there's so many different ways to answer it. But what's showing up in this moment is to say, because of that moment when I closed my heart, that really is why I wrote Conscious Recovery. Because once that happened in my life, once that moment happened, I walked around that way. And what Mark was talking about, I love the thing about the low self-esteem and the person you're having sex with is saying, you're saying, oh, my gosh, that person has stooped to some new levels. Mark, I totally butchered that as your joke. You're the funny guy.
That's all right. Your sex life is your business, TJ. It's
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. That's right. Unless I tell you something and then it becomes everyone's business, except for you at least don't name me. Yeah. And a couple other friends have told me you do that too. But I at that moment at age 7, and I remember when my nephew turned 7 and I looked at him and saw this beautiful, precious, perfect being. And then I remembered that was the age I decided that I was broken. And I walked around with that belief in my own brokenness until I was 13 or 14. So 7 years until I discovered drugs and alcohol that literally changed my life. And it saved my life because it allowed me, one, to feel, kind of ironically, because I had buried those feelings, but it also, at the same time, allowed me to numb out a lot of the darker feelings or the more painful experiences of my life. It gave me a way to manage them. And so the reason I say that really is foundational in conscious recovery is very simple. I started working, I've been in recovery myself since 1986, and I started working in the field full-time 12 years ago, but off and on throughout the last 30 years. And I noticed a couple of things. One, very well-meaning counselors and therapists were in some way viewing the people they were working with as broken. And in my experience, 100% of the clients I've worked with on some level have felt broken. So I became really curious about that. And the foundational principle of what is now conscious recovery became, underneath all addictive behavior is an essential self that's whole and perfect. Why is that important? That is important because, as I said, through my own journey, that experience of closing my heart, that experience of separating from my true nature, and then having all sorts of absurd ways to try to feel loved and try to feel whole and try to manage these feelings that I didn't know how to work with, all of that led me to believing I was so broken. And so many of the addiction models, consciously or unconsciously, almost add more brokenness to a being, a whole and perfect spiritual being that doesn't really know that. And so for me, recovery is really about uncovering and discovering all that I put on top of that. And all the clients I've worked with, I was going to say hundreds, but at this point, it's probably thousands in one way or another. It's really about returning to that place of wholeness. It's not a destination, it's a remembering. And so Conscious Recovery is a book and a workbook and a journal and these incredible online courses on Wholehearted. And it's a modality of treatment used in treatment programs around the country. And it's profoundly simple in some ways. And that is, how do we create a space for someone who is using a substance or food or sex or shopping or whatever it is to try to feel whole again because they feel broken? So Conscious Recovery really helps people return to that place of wholeness. That's really, I think, what I want to share at this moment. Other than, I want to close with a little bit of gratitude, and that is grateful for all of you sitting at that table. Trish, I love you and love your energy. We haven't been in each other's energy field in person yet, but I know we will. And AJ, for your saying yes to your calling, and Mark, for the way that you are so authentic and real, and Scott, wow, you have dedication to 70 shows. You've been doing this 70 times. It's so amazing. So much, much, much gratitude to all of you and everyone who's watching. I'm just so incredibly grateful that you're tuning in with us this evening.
Oh, thank you. You know, I'm a big fan of TJ. I've worked with him. He's helped me a lot. And I just want to riff on really such a central part of your way of seeing things, that it's getting out of the model of evaluating and diagnosing what's wrong with us, what's wrong with a person, and instead helping us to remember our divinity. And however we see that, you know, this is not a denominational thing, but it's really learning to remember our wholeness, to find that wholeness. You know, it's like we come in as children and we're innocent, we're pure, and then life happens and we adopt various shame stories, then strategies to manage the shame stories. And through Conscious Recovery and all of what Wholehearted provides and what Love Coach Academy provides, these are tools to help us come back and remember who we truly are.
That's right.
TJ has a way of introducing you to that person, maybe for the first time too. If a lot of us came from places where it's just reinforced. You're bad, you're stupid, you made poor choices, you'll never amount to, loser, victim, criminal, all these labels and stuff. I've seen people that have worked with TJ who they never consider themselves anything but that till they talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
That's like somebody taking you out of the desert after 40 years. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. And I've talked to some of those people just recently, my brother, Southern California, a couple of weeks ago. You know, you made a big impact down there. And that's not because I like him. That's because I've seen the work he does. You know, sometimes we're introduced to somebody we never met and it's us.
Yeah.
Oh, so true. Thank you. Yeah. And as you're speaking, I mean, first of all, thank you for that. And I'm reminded of the person who did that for me, right? And that really is the gift of coming to planet Earth, for all the insanity that's been happening in our culture and on our Earth, on our planet for the last year or two, or maybe decades. The simple act of holding a space for someone to know their own preciousness is really the greatest gift we can offer. And that was given to me so freely from a woman that I dedicate all my work to, Mary Helen Brownell. And I feel like that's really how we shift consciousness on the planet. That's how we get into deeper healing. So yeah, I've been able to be that for someone else, and those people then get to be that for someone else, and so on. And whether we reach that through spiritual practice or humor or just that one moment when someone says or does something, you know, we never know what a glance, a word, we never know the impact that'll have. And there have been moments where someone just said one thing to me that kept me alive for a little bit longer to do this healing work, to come back to myself, which took me at least 20 years. And what if it didn't need to take that long for everyone else?
I want to invite everybody. TJ and I have been doing this series. Most of you know I have a show I do every Sunday morning, the Sacred Sunday Show. And what I do is I invite special guests and people that we meet on Saturday Night Live that we want to go deeper with. And TJ and I have done 2 previous shows that have really received a lot of viewership. And so we're doing a 3rd one, which is going to be a chance to go deeper into question and answer. So you can come into the Zoom room, ask questions of TJ, and that's going to be on Sunday, August 1st. So that's a week from tomorrow, 10 o'clock Pacific time. And we're going to also be showing some video clips from an interview that I did with Reverend Michael Beckwith. Reverend Michael and TJ are good friends. They've done a lot of collaborations. So Reverend Michael on video, TJ and I live Sunday, August 1st. Please join us. And Deborah, thank you for your help. She'll probably put the Zoom room in the chat box. So thank you so much. Love you, TJ.
Love you too. Thank you, everyone. Honored to be here.
AJ, Antoine Vinny.
Oh, okay. We were moving on faster than my mind is. So Antoine Vinny is the stage name of Anthony Forcioni, who is the lead editor here at wholehearted.org. He is a musician and he is a filmmaker and he's an all-around creative artist. We invited him to do some music with us, and we recorded a short interview that I did with Anthony, but it begins with a trailer of a movie he made called Con Man, the story of Ernest the Yo-Yoist. Yes, like a yo-yo. It's amazing. It's 9 minutes. It's available at wholehearted.org for free. We're going to see a trailer and we're going to see Anthony and we're going to watch him rap for us.
All right.
It terrifies me sometimes to put myself out there, not knowing what people are going to say or how they're going to judge me. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can still play with a toy, have a good time, and make people have a good time too. It's the fear that if I did do it full time, that I'm not going to be able to make it. Why don't I just follow what I love? Why don't I just do that? My name is Ernest Khan, and I am a professor.
Welcome to another Wholehearted Conversation. My guest today is Anthony Forcioni, also known as Antoine Vinny. That is his stage name. He is an artist, he is a musician and a filmmaker, and he raps really well. He's an amazing artist. That is why we hired him a couple years ago at wholehearted.org. He is now our lead editor. Anthony, welcome to the Wholehearted Studio.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that awesome intro.
Yeah, well, you know it well. You've worked here for a while. You've been in here many times. I think this might be the first time you've actually been on camera for a Wholehearted
I know. It
program.
is the first time. This is so exciting.
Yeah. Well, I really meant it. You're a great artist. You've brought a lot to Wholehearted. So before we dive in too deep, I think we just showed or are about to show a short trailer from a short documentary that you made called Con Man.
Yes. The
story of Ernest the Yo-Yoist. It's short. It's like you said, 9 minutes and 38 seconds, right? It's one of my favorite movies I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that means so much.
Really, it's short, it's to the point. It follows an individual that took a risk and has a lot of courage, and he is like living his dream. It's an extraordinary story, and you have packed a lifetime of opportunity and dreams into 9 minutes and 38 seconds for this individual.
It was hard to make it 9 minutes long. I would have rather it been 9 hours long, but you know.
So it's currently available at Wholehearted Discover, which means it is currently free. So if you'd like to see it, head on over to wholehearted.org, click Discover, and watch it.
Yeah, please go check it out. Everyone can get something out of this. It's made for everyone, and there's some great life lessons in there, and it's just a feel-good film. I think you guys will really enjoy it.
Can I ask, what did you learn from that process? Like, did you have a really clear idea when you set out to make it, or was it just a project that you needed to do?
Well, it was a film school film, so I was going to film school at the time, and we had 5 films to make. I had to tell this story, and to this day, it was one of my favorite films I've ever made. It's just, he's such a cool person to be around, and he radiates so much positivity. That's pretty much what it was for me. It was just, it taught me how to be creative and how to get to know people better and just tell stories and be myself and chase after my dreams. I grew a lot from making that film.
So let's move into your music, and we're going to have a live performance from you after this interview.
Yeah.
It's a completely different side. When I first saw your music, and it's intense, and it comes from a very intense place.
Yeah.
What are you comfortable sharing? What do you want to share about that?
I can share as much, because for me, being an artist, I take a lot of pride in being vulnerable, just because I want to use that as a way to inspire others. Because I feel like a lot of times music, especially hip-hop music, can be seen as disingenuous. So I'm trying to switch that around, and I want to be as real and vulnerable as possible in my music.
You're expressing unresolved pain, and many of us are either too afraid to express it, or we don't have a talent or some kind of vehicle to pour it into.
Yeah.
And you have numerous talents, and you have used your artistry to pour that into. I think the contribution you're making to anyone who sees your art is that people aren't alone. And I think it's incredible that you're open and you embrace that part of yourself, and you put it into art that other people can see and experience. I think that's really unique, and I think that's a gift.
Thank you. That's exactly why I'm making my music. It's not only therapy for me, it gives me a way to express these feelings that I don't understand or do understand, and just need to express them in a healthy way. My music is a way for people to relate, and for people to hopefully learn about their struggles and hopefully see that they're not alone. Because a lot of times when I make these songs, I do feel very alone. But I've learned that through making the music, I'm not alone, and no one's really alone. So yeah, it's more of a way just to release the pain in a healthy way. It's a way for me to cope too with all this stuff that's happened in my life. I was diagnosed with MS 3 years ago. So I've been trying to, find a way to deal with that. And music has really helped a lot. But yeah, I just use it as a way to identify things that are unidentifiable using any other method. Music really helps me do that. Yeah, the expression for sure is like my main driving force for my music. I've learned throughout the many years, I've been making music for 8 years now. I've learned that there is a lot of healing through it also. I didn't realize that at first.
What advice would you give to somebody else who either wants to make music or express themselves, but they feel like they may not be good enough, or somebody's not going to be interested in the kind of lyric or the kind of art that they're going to make? Do you have any advice?
We all start somewhere. Even for me, when I first started rapping, I was awful. I had a baby voice, and I just didn't have that sauce. You have to start somewhere, and don't be afraid to start, because I always say this to everyone: a year from today, you'll wish you started today. So what are you waiting for? Just give it a try. Take a chance on yourself. Take a chance on your passion, and just give it your all. And who knows where it'll take you.
This is why we love you. I don't think we could end on a better note.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love you too. And thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah. All right. There's more about Anthony on wholehearted.org. You can also Google Antoine Vinny, you want to spell it for them?
Oh yeah, it's ANTWONVINNIE. You'll see it on my T-shirt on the performance clip.
Yeah. Every platform, YouTube, Instagram, you can find more about him. I encourage you to check it out. And watch his documentary, Con Man, the story of Ernest the Yo-Yoist. It really is awesome.
It's a feel-good film. You'll love it.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look. Yeah, they won't love me till I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. I am, but don't know who I am. It looks so easy for every other man. Got the credentials of a legend, but I always feel less than. Collect my drip inside a pan. Feed it to the wolves, they won't understand. I give nothing but love and they bite my hand. Bullied a lot, you probably already know this. Never told you was bullied by girls too. Man, this sad boy is hopeless. That shit stayed with me. Its effects would never go unnoticed. Never had love, cause I never was noticed. But now I'm a grown-ass man with 1,000 talents on my back, weighing so heavy on my spirit, I know that soon I might just crack. A cope off a skill is a drug to me, and I might just OD twice. Honestly, I'm afraid to die before I live my life. Yeah, they won't love me till I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. 1 year gone, but it's okay. I sleep, look forward to new days. 2 years spent alone, cause she left me here with nobody home. And it hurts to think that nobody knows the reasons why I'm so polychrome. You see a smile, but it doesn't show. Behind his pain, I keep locked in the catacombs. Cause I'd rather glow than moan. This world can be dark if it's shown, especially when you are prone. It can be so hard to grow. I mean, who would've known? People are more than just stepping stones. I gotta remember to be my own. Darkness, sometimes you gotta feel it. We're onions, fuck them, they don't wanna peel it. I like people who bring something real, people who cry when they need to heal. She was someone who flied when they couldn't deal. Loved you enough to just let you go. You were never mine to steal. But now I gotta love myself enough to finally say goodbye. The sun is shining on my future, now I'm gonna shoot for the sky. I've been afraid to die, but I'm not afraid to die. No longer afraid to die. I'll be immortalized. Yeah, they won't love me till I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. Yeah, they won't love me till I'm gone. Love me when 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 I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, they won't love me till I'm gone. Till I'm gone. They won't love me until I'm gone.
What a remarkable young man.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm glad he's not gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
But
see him, Anthony. I love Anthony. He's here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's an editing genius.
Yeah, but to be serious for a moment, he really struggles. And sometimes I'm not sure, if he knows where his place is. And he is loved, and he has created a huge contribution to Wholehearted. Almost every program on it has been edited by him. And he's been here sometimes 3 or 4 in the morning to get things done so that people that need help can get it quickly. And he's been really generous.
Yeah, that kid, he's texted me in the middle of the night. Hey, I'm doing this. Can you give me some, what about this? Or what do you think of this? And I'll tell him, listen, you're the man when it comes to editing. You don't need my permission or input or anything, but he's very careful and conscientious and respectful of other people's work. A lot of artists aren't. He's really good. He's one of the original 5.
Yeah, he's really, really just a sweet.
Yeah. What's the original 5 mean?
That's Chip and AJ and Lucas and Mark Lundholm and Anthony.
Yeah. I mean, when we had before we had a bunch of people working here, it was.
We had a little hot dog stand out on the corner. Right over.
Yeah. So, Anthony did the editing and the lemonade sales.
Yeah.
I was out there with the sandwich board and,
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick look at how it's grown since then. So from the lemonade stand, this is what happens when we go to wholehearted.org.
Yeah.
Thank you for promoting us at the top there. So let's navigate around a little bit. Tell us what people should check out.
I'll give you an overview. So anyone who's interested, if you go to wholehearted.org, at the very top, there's the main navigation. You'll see Discover, Plus, and Video Courses. Discover, everything under the Discover section is free. So if you want to click Discover, everything on this page is absolutely free. We do ask that you sign up for a Discover membership. It is free. We don't ask for a credit card. There's no trial. There's no expiration date. We don't email you. We don't spam you. We don't collect your data, nothing like that. It's just so that you can add things to your favorites and you can pick up where you left off when watching a video. If you scroll to the top of the page, you can actually see here, do me a favor and can you click on the first circle? There we go. So this is Con Man, the story of Ernest the Yo-Yoist. This was the short documentary film, 9 minutes, 38 seconds, that Antoine Vinny put together, and we have on Wholehearted. So it is free to watch. We have just documentaries, talks, and series on this page. There are 2 videos of TJ Woodward. So if you were interested in what TJ was talking about, we have 2 long format talks, and we have a whole bunch of free shows with Mark Lundholm, and we've got a 67-minute talk with Gabor Mate, The Power of Connection. I think it's the most popular viewed talk ever released by him. So you can join the fans of Gabor and see it as well. If you want to go back to the top and click on Plus, we can talk a little bit about Plus. So Wholehearted Plus is a membership. It's $98 a year or $14 a month. Right now, if you use the coupon code SNA, those are the initials of Saturday Night Alive, you'll save 25% on your membership forever. And we're giving the proceeds to Saturday Night Alive. So if it's of interest to you, please sign up today so that we can support Saturday Night Alive. They have been super generous in helping put this program together. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes that you don't see on camera today that make this possible. And if we don't support groups like theirs, then they can't continue to make programs for you to enjoy week after week.
Well, thank you very much. And obviously there is a lot to discover at wholehearted.org. And of course, Gabor Mate is one of your most significant teachers. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Gabor, and I think we have a video to show.
Sure. So Dr. Gabor Mate is a world-renowned addiction expert, ADHD expert, and he really focuses on trauma and human development. And the primary key to his work is anything that happens during development as a child, even in utero, creates a need for us to adapt. Those adaptations create internal scars in us emotionally. Those constrictions have us behave in ways that may not be helpful for us as we get older. And that can manifest as addiction or ADHD or dysfunctional relationships. He is a significant contributor to wholehearted.org, and he is very visible. He's a best-selling author. I would say that Mark Lundholm, TJ Woodward, Roland Williams, Dr. BJ Davis, all the people that we work with, all of the work that they do integrates tightly into the work that Dr. Gabor-Mate popularizes and spreads. He's incredibly generous, and he's been really helpful in spreading more information about trauma for people. We have Healing Trauma and Addiction, which is a 8-episode video course with Dr. Gabor-Mate. It is the most popular program ever released by him. We offer scholarships, and we offer it at a very accessible price for the public as well. Again, if you buy it and use the coupon code SNA, the proceeds are going to go to Saturday Night Alive. We have an exclusive 10-minute clip from one of the episodes of Healing Trauma and Addiction for you to watch.
Great. All right, here we go. And thank you very much for that, AJ. That's very generous.
You're welcome.
So I would say that there's nothing wrong. In fact, it's entirely appropriate what both of you have done. Okay? There's only one thing about it. It hasn't left you empowered or free.
Mm-mm.
It left you both miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So there's something missing there. Okay? Because if you do the right thing, and I believe you both did, setting a boundary, you both said, this is too much for me, it's too painful for me, I can't be with it. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Perfectly all right to say that. But it didn't leave you free. Okay, now the question is, why didn't it leave you free? And what would it take to free you? Because there's truly, as you found out, there's nothing you can do to induce your sister, your mother, to be any different. You're totally powerless, right? Are you willing to accept that you're powerless?
Yes.
Okay? Can you feel okay about being powerless?
Yeah.
Over somebody else? There's an assumption, first of all, in what you said, Lindsay, which is that she's choosing the alcohol over her daughter. Do you want to hold on to the idea that she's actually making a choice?
I know she's not, but that is like this first gut reaction of maybe that's child part of me.
Well, that's right. It's not a gut reaction. It's an emotional reaction, which is not the same as a gut reaction. A gut feeling just tells you what's safe and what isn't. But the emotional reaction, as a child, remember what I said earlier, that to the child, the parent is all powerful and conscious. Therefore, as a child, there's only one way you could have perceived it, which is that she's choosing to do this. Okay? It's still the child part of you that's hurt. Okay? Nothing your mother's going to do, even if she stops drinking today and tells you how much she loves you, is not going to heal that part. That part is within you. It's only for you to heal. You're depending on that other person to behave differently so that you can feel better. You see that? How you feel depends on how they act towards themselves. You get that? You're depending on somebody else. You're depending on an addict, not to be an addict, so you can feel okay. That makes you a codependent. A codependent is somebody who depends on somebody else who's dependent on an addictive behavior. So the problem is not their addiction, but your codependence. You follow me? Okay. What was this part of you trying to do?
Get help.
To keep you safe?
Yeah.
Why are you so angry with it? Or can you see how you... No, when you recognize that it's just trying to keep you safe.
Yeah.
Do you still need to be so angry with it?
No.
Okay.
No. I think that's where the compassion comes in, is there's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it just was all too much.
Now this part, I'm still trying to talk to this part now again, to this part that blames you. How old are you? I don't mean how long you've been in the world.
No.
What age did you come along?
This blame part?
This part that's blaming you.
Yeah. Oh, geez. 2?
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're angry at a 2-year-old.
I
Right?
love that. Yep. Right. Yeah.
So now that you get that it's just a 2-year-old who's trying to help you, do you think you might have a different attitude towards it than anger?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so when this 2-year-old that just wants to help you and protect you comes along and starts doing its only thing it knows how to do, which is to blame you, what does it want from you?
Nurturing.
It needs some nurturing from you.
Yeah.
If you go to a dermatologist with an inflamed skin, what kind of cream are they going to give you? Anybody know? Steroid cream, right. If you go to a rheumatologist with an inflamed joint, what medication are they going to give you? Steroid very often. If you go to a lung specialist with asthma, what kind of inhaler are you going to get? Steroid. If you go to a gastroenterologist with inflamed intestines, what kind of medication are you going to get? Steroids. Now, what are steroids? They're copies of cortisol. What is cortisol? It's a stress hormone. We're treating everything with stress hormones. Maybe it should occur to us that stress has something to do with the onset of these conditions. And that stress is not an individual problem. Stress is a social problem. And so if we're seeing more of this or that condition, let's consider that we're looking at the manifestations of something in the culture. Your feelings, your emotions. Now, why would a person push down their feelings? Because they're too painful. They're too much to bear. In other words, the pushing down of feelings becomes as a coping mechanism in an environment where you're not allowed to feel because your feelings threaten your attachments. So you learn to survive by pushing down your feelings, and then 15 years later or 30 years later, you're diagnosed with depression. Now you've got this medical, biological problem, they give you a pill. So I'm going to ask the audience, first we're going to look at Lisa's situation. Any reason why the father-in-law might have said, oh yeah, you're going to buy a $500 tree, that has nothing to do with him not loving, accepting, or her rejecting Lisa. Just some other reason that he might have had for saying what he said, okay? That has nothing to do with rejecting or not loving his daughter-in-law. Can anybody think of any other possible motivations, okay? So what other reason could he have had for saying that? See? He's got his own financial issues. Is that a possibility? It's a possibility. We're not saying it's true. We don't know what's true. He's not here. We can't ask him. We're just saying, are there other possibilities? So he might have anxiety on spending money. Is that a possibility? Okay. Any other possibilities? Okay, if you spend hand the mic, yes? Quite possibly he wants to influence you towards growing your own garden. Now, we're not saying what's true. Is it a possibility?
No.
Theoretically. Not even in theory.
No.
How come it's not a possibility? Anything is a possibility theoretically, no?
True.
Theoretically.
Yes.
It's a possibility.
Yes.
Nobody's saying it's true.
Right.
Nobody's saying it's true. You may believe it's unlikely, but is it possible? Okay, so are you saying that he might have his own resentments and he might have his own unhappiness? So okay, so some kind of a pattern of negative interaction, and he's just caught in that groove. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
That's
yes.
possible. Okay,
yes.
it's also possible.
He could be jealous.
He could be jealous. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's a possibility as
Yes.
well. Okay, thank you. All right. So let's just look at the possibilities here. One is that he's got financial issues himself. He's projecting that onto you. The other is he's jealous. His own life is not going that well. You know, he doesn't know how to handle that. He's trying to educate you to grow in your own garden. And what was the fourth one? Sorry? Just part of a built-up pattern of interaction. Okay, you got all those possibilities? Thank you.
So easy to take things personally.
No, just hold on. You're right, it is, but just hold on, okay? Now, Louvet, what are the, we're going to ask the audience now, this awful 5-year-old.
Yeah, she's horrendous, right? A horrendous little thing.
Wow. Is there any reason that she could have said, I don't want to go to Jamaica? That has nothing to do with her not appreciating her mother. It's certainly true that if you start using drugs, that's going to have a negative effect on your brain. If you use drugs regularly, the more you use, longer period that you use it for, the more effect that's going to have on the gray matter of the brain and the white matter of the brain. That's totally true. But it's also true that when you're looking at the addicted adult brain, you're looking at the impacts of early childhood experience. It's not just one or the other.
Wow, it's such a blessing to have Gabor Mate kind of in your stable, if you will, providing his incredible wisdom. What's it been like working with him? What are some things you've gotten out of that?
What are some things I've gotten out of it? Quite honestly, a complete shift in my life. It's almost impossible to spend 2 years working on programs with him and seeing him convey his message over and over and over in an editing room and live and in person with them, and not start to see what he is talking about show up in every aspect of your life. The program's called Healing Trauma and Addiction, but it's not specific to addiction. His definition of addiction is any behavior that someone continues to repeat and suffers negative consequences and can't stop. So that can be workaholism, it can be drug or alcohol addiction or food addiction. I am not in recovery. I'm not someone who's used drugs, and I don't use alcohol, but I am a workaholic and I have a lot of anxiety, and work is something that helps me push down that anxiety. And watching Gabor and working with him and putting these programs together and trying to live some of the lessons and advice that he gives has been really difficult for me. And I'll be honest that I've made a lot of improvements, but not as much as many of the other people that have participated in his programs. It's very difficult for me to walk away from the work and have my own fulfilling personal life. So I've learned a lot. And I've learned how to be compassionate for myself instead of coming from a place of shame all the time. And that has completely shifted the way I view the world and I view others. And the amount of patience I have been able to adapt and adopt has been exponential.
Thank you for sharing that.
I'm noticing in the chat box, Lori just wrote, I believe Dr. Mate's protocols will eventually become foundational modalities for psychotherapy.
I'd like to say something about that. We are already seeing that. There have been hundreds of thousands of people that have completed this program. There's also a program called a masterclass for healers that we offer at wholehearted.org. There are tens of thousands of therapists and coaches and counselors and healers taking the program. There are students and universities that are integrating this into their curriculum. So they're replacing their trauma text with this program. So it's already happening. And we, if I can brag for a second,
yes,
we've been able to give over 80,000 scholarships away, which has made this program completely accessible to students that had no funds, or universities didn't have to make funds available. And that is specifically because we and Dr. Gabor Mate both said it's more important. It's more important than money. And his generosity has allowed us to give the program away. We've had to reduce the number of scholarships. We've given out a lot. So we do ask, if you can afford it, to please purchase. If you can't, email us. We will help you.
Wow. Thank you so much, AJ.
I'm going to take this course next on my list. I'm so sorry, Scott.
No, go for it. Plus, you've got an introduction for us. So spotlight on Trish.
Well, little side jokes. Scott asked me not to take any more courses because I love to just dive right in. But this is one on my list. Gabor Mate's work is something really close to my heart. So thank you for taking the time and the effort and the energy, and all of your team. The team of really just like delightful humans. Oh my goodness.
Can I say one thing before you go forward?
Of course.
The best advice I could give, if people want to take the program like you, watch a little bit of Gabor, then watch a little bit of Mark Lundholm. I guarantee you, I mean that really, the comedy, pacing it out was therapeutic for me to do it that way, because I couldn't work on developing both without having Mark in my life, breaking up the intensity.
Well, that's fabulous advice.
Wow. High praise. I didn't see that coming. I'm a fan of Gabor. Big fan. It's digestible too. I'm a layman. I never finished the 7th grade, but I can understand what he's saying when he's saying it about heart, about feeling, about shame, about internal. It's really like easy to digest for somebody who maybe isn't clinical. You know, it's pretty good stuff.
In my coaching practice, I use comedy a lot because you can start to see someone glaze over when you hit something really deep. You're like, oh, you got to bring it up a little bit out of the theta brainwave state and just like drop it into something a little bit more delightful. And
and I'd say up there with comedy would be music. And we have Donna DeLore with another incredible song.
Exactly. Take it away.
All right. And I loved hearing that beautiful song from Antoine Vinny. Discovered a new artist here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, Donna, it's so good to have you with us. Thank you so much.
This is actually an Alison Krauss song that I heard on Pandora. I was listening to Emmylou Harris radio, and this song kept coming on. And do you guys ever like do screenshots of songs where you want to like?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, send me the screenshot of that song. So I kept listening to it. I'm like, I gotta learn this song. So I started playing guitar and learned the song, and here it is. It's called A Living Prayer. In this world, I walk alone with no place to call my own. But there's one who holds my hand through rugged roads, through barren land. The way is dark, the road is steep, but he's become my eyes to see, the strength to climb, my griefs to bear. Spirit lives inside me there. In your love I find release, a haven from my unbelief. So take my life, let me be a living prayer, my God, to thee. Take my life, let me be a living prayer, my God, to thee.
Where do you get your inspiration from? What are some things that inspire you?
Being alive, waking up healthy every day. My family, love, just the awe of life, the awe of the deepness of the love and connection with the earth and with people and animals. And I just, since I was a little girl, I just had this awe. And I always wanted to know more. And my dad was really into like Greek philosophy, and we started going to Church of Religious Science actually when I was about 14. And I started learning more Eastern philosophies, then got into yoga, and then started, I had this whole career in pop music. I toured with Madonna for 20 years, and I always wanted to go out into the world and dance and sing. And then I got back to my yoga and was so inspired by those teachings. And it would start with something I heard in yoga class, like stira sukham asanam, which is stira is steady. So the connection to the earth should be steady and joyful. Just like certain phrases that they resonated so deeply with me. Or aham prema, which is I am divine love. And so music, I feel, is just like, it's just transcendent, and it's just totally, I don't know, it's just there in the ethers. And then the words and everything can bring you, I think, to your left brain. But ultimately, music for me is just totally my bliss. And it's when...
Well, thank you for sharing your bliss with us, because it's definitely a blessing. And definitely, Donna, you're one of our favorite musical artists. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And
so great to be here.
Yeah. And hey, everybody, go to donnadelory.com and download some of her music. Both the songs you heard tonight are from her We Shine album. And again, just go to donnadelory.com, DonnaDelory.com. And I'm glad you were on this particular show. It was interesting because we had scheduled you 2 months ago and we didn't know what show we'd be doing.
Yeah.
And there's a certain kismet to it all, isn't there?
Absolutely. And we can, I look forward to, doing something else with you. We can go deeper into some of these experiences. And I'd
love to have you on my Secret Sunday show where it's just you and I going deep for like an hour and a half. I've been doing that with a lot of our favorite musical artists around the time that your meditation album comes out. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
absolutely.
Many blessings to you all.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of the show. Good night, Donna.
Thank you. Good night.
Wow. Well, it is time for the mid-show announcements. And I don't have Deborah here with me, so I'm going to do my best to kind of get through it here because we've got a lot to share with you, but we're going to be as brief as we can. One of the things we always want to do is encourage you to come and join us. The Global Peace Tribe is you, and it's this incredible expansive thing that's happening where more and more of us are finding each other. And yes, I'm going to do the butterfly cell thing again, but Deborah, Scott, they've heard the butterfly cell thing. But it really is true. I think we all know that clearly the old paradigm, the old world we've been living in was very unsustainable. Look at what's happening with climate change. And it's time to create a new world. And that's what we're doing. It's people like Mark and Trish and AJ and everybody you're hearing today, everybody you see every week on Saturday Night Alive. We're all about playing our part, playing our role in transforming the world. And we do it through comedy and through magic and through music and through all of you who are activists, healers, caregivers. So really, please join us. And the way you join is really simple. Go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com. For those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube, and a lot of you will be watching the replay, because most of the people who watch our show watch the replay. Go to globalpeacetribe.com and register. We have an amazing season 6. This is our 4th show in season 6. We do our seasons by the quarter. So we do 13 shows every season. And we've got a lot of amazing things happening. We're going to do another show called Embracing Death with Compassion, which is going to focus on people who've had near-death experiences like Daniel Brinkley, Raymond Moody will be with us, and many others. And so it goes. And I really want to spotlight next week's show because it's going to be really important. I'm going to show you a video in a moment. But next week's show is all about our body and whole brain fitness. It's going to be sponsored by our friend Lori Grace, and she's brought on several doctors who are going to help us to understand what we can do differently to have maximum focus with our brain, maximum focus with our body. And as always, we have great music. We've got Johanna Oneheart, we've got Valerie Romanoff, and we've got Chai Utal, who are all going to be joining us next week. So that's going to be pretty special. And to get a better sense of it, here is a video. I want to thank Jay and Jan, who put together this promotional video for us. This will tell you a little bit about next week's show.
Join us July 31st. Saturday Night Alive presents Brain and Body Fitness, Caring for Our Body Temple. Sponsored by Lori Grace, Sunrise Center, and Haleakua Garden Farm and Eco Retreat. Featuring Dr. Dale Bredesen, New York Times best-selling author and neuroregenerative expert. Dr. Ricky Polycove, who has a national reputation for highly personalized health care for women. Nafisa Parpia, a naturopathic doctor helping those with complex chronic illnesses. Dr. Hyla Cass, nationally acclaimed innovator and expert in the fields of integrative medicine. And Deborah Poneman, an award-winning keynote speaker transforming lives for over 40 years. And our sponsor, Lori Grace, a community activist and wellness expert. Featuring some of our favorite musicians, the amazing Jai Uttal, the electric Valerie Romanov, and the multi-talented sacred songstress Johanna Onehart. So let's take charge of our brain and fitness wellness together on Saturday Night Alive, July 31st.
It's going to be a great show. And we do a lot of shows on these days. Most of you probably know that I also do a show every Sunday, my Sacred Sunday show. And tomorrow I've got John Kay from Steppenwolf. How many of you remember the band Steppenwolf? Well, John Kay was the front man. Yeah, Mark remembers.
Yeah.
So John was the
a
front
kid.
man, and he and his wife, and he's been married for 35 years. So we're going to blow some myths about rock stars. John was the lead guitarist. He wrote the songs. He was the lead vocalist. He was the guy. And he's been married to the same woman for 35 years. And they made a documentary about him because he became a wildlife advocate. And so that's pretty cool. And John and his wife are going to be on the show tomorrow. And so definitely join us for my Sacred Sunday show. And then I also want to acknowledge that every Friday night, Trish and I, and so I'm going to ask to go to Trish. Trish and I do a show called Straight Talk. And most of you probably watched our show last week, our Saturday Night Live show last week, all about racism, which really Trish put that show together. And so we're doing follow-up for 2 consecutive Friday nights on Straight Talk. So you want to tell us a little bit about next week's Straight Talk, Trish?
I'm really excited to bring Reverend Bridge Feltus back on the show to have a deeper, more like in conversation, right? She blew our minds on Saturday Night Alive, really talking so compassionately about the course that she teaches through the Remember Institute around dissolving and integrating racism. It's an anti-racist course, but it's significantly more than that. And I invite you all to just show up and, drop into the Zoom room and really ask the questions that you want to ask, because she is amazing.
Beautiful. So that's on Friday night. And our Straight Talk show on every Friday night is on at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. So it's a little bit later. I know a lot of you are East Coasters, but please do join us. And I finally do have the poster for tomorrow's Sacred Sunday show. And what's going to be fun is on the Sacred Sunday show, we really take a lot of questions and answers. So if you would like to meet John Kay, join us tomorrow morning. He and his wife will be on at 10 o'clock in the morning. and it's going to be a lot of fun. The other thing that I want to remind everybody about is that we're doing more and more special events. And our next special event is going to be with Jeff McBride. It's going to be on July 28th. That's this Thursday night. And Jeff is this master magician. They just did a poll of Las Vegas's favorite magicians. Number 1 was David Copperfield. Number 2 was Chris Angel. And number 3 was Jeff McBride. And Jeff's been on our show several times. And he put together a special little video segment for Saturday Night Live. And we're going to take a look at that right now. So let's take a look at Jeff McBride doing some magic for us. And what's cool about this is you watch this video is know that you can actually come next Thursday night to a private party that Jeff McBride is putting on just for Saturday Night Live. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that right after we watch this video.
It's wonderful to be here, and I'm quite honored to be in this grouping tonight, and it's wonderful to be back. And this is a time of initiation for all of us. In magical traditions all over the world, initiates are often blindfolded and in the darkness until that time when they should face the light. And today, many of us feel cut off from the light, darkened by the times. But the real magic happens when we reach out and we embrace and transform that darkness and realize that there are people all over the world that feel just like us right now, today. And how do they feel? Many of them feel cut off, just like separate grains of salt, the salt of the earth, the salt of planet Earth. But without unity, there can be no transformation. So what is going to happen? What is going to happen with all of us being separate? We need a little magic in this world, and we need, through unity, joining together our hearts, minds, and spirits, we can take all those little separate pieces of our lives, of our cultures, of our misunderstandings, and join together in one love and in one world. This little blue marble that we are spinning around on in our galaxy, in our cosmos, it is so fragile. It is so fragile. At this time, we're feeling the fragility of the individual and the planet. But by uniting ourselves, by uniting our breath, by uniting our hearts, by uniting our minds, and by uniting our spirits, we can accomplish real magic in this world. And what magic is that? That magic is not illusion. That magic is if you feel enraged, know that that rage is power to be transformed through the alchemy of our creativity and our compassion. So if you see red, remember that that is the fire of the alchemists. And fire is here to be transformed. So take that energy, whatever it is, and I will teach you a secret spell that can transform all of this rage into magic that can transform the world. This is the secret key. The other is here. This is one, that is the other. I'm Jeff McBride, and I'll be back later in the show to teach you some more magic.
The whole show, you're good.
I know, I tell you. So here's the deal, everybody. Jeff has put together a show called Magic Quest, and it's a private online party. He invited me to it. He did one maybe 3 months ago that I went to. And it's a Zoom meeting, not a Zoom webinar, a Zoom meeting. What does that mean? It means we're all on camera. And Jeff actually does magic, but then he draws some of us online on camera and he does tricks with us. And it's really, really cool. So when I signed to it, I said, look, can you do this for our global peace drive? And he said, well, I said, come on. I said, okay. So normally it's $100 ticket. And we're getting it for $33 each. And it's going to be this Thursday night from 6 till 8 p.m. Pacific time. Please register. Deborah, thank you so much, Deborah, for all the links you're putting into the chat box for us. And again, I'm going to go to the, so you can just see briefly, this is what's going to be happening. Go to the link, register. We've only got a few tickets left because it's a very small, we'll keep it intimate so that he can see everybody on camera. It's going to be really, really wonderful. And it's going to be really our chance to have our own private party with Jeff McBride. So that's this Thursday night from 6 till 8 p.m. Also, I want to thank all of our sponsors and all of our broadcast partners. A lot of you are watching us on Unify right now. And so thank you. I want to thank John and Summer Raymer, our friends at the Sign Network. I want to thank Alan Steinfeld. A lot of you watch us on his YouTube channel, New Realities. Also, a big thanks to Light Touch, Love Coach Academy, Global Days of Unity, the Enlightened World Network. These are all of our sponsors and broadcast partners that help make all of this happen. And finally, thank you to those of you who donate. Of course, we provide this free of charge, but it is your donations that make it work. So when you register, if you choose to donate, we really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. And now I'm going to turn it over to AJ to tell us about what's next.
Hi again. So it's kind of interesting because we just finished with that really cool, entertaining clip. And in the same vein of entertainment, wholehearted.org has documentaries. We have a lot of documentaries we will be releasing, and there are some that are available now. We have some trailers for you to show you some of the movies that we have. So we're going to start with an interview and a trailer of a movie called Homeboy Joyride, which is about Homeboy Industries. It is the largest gang recidivism program in the world and the largest reentry for prisoners in the world, based in California. There's a documentary about it. Paul Steinbrenner was the filmmaker. And we have another film that we're releasing, I think August 1st, called Stand Down. Stand Down is when the military descends on an empty lot in San Diego and overnight turns it into every service imaginable for veterans. So it has everything from places for them to shower, dress, adjudicate legal claims with judges and attorneys, dentists, physicians, even get a haircut, get new clothes. It's really amazing. The documentary shows how it happens, how you can help and get involved. Do we have a video clip to show Paul Steinbrenner, the filmmaker, in the trailers?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Let's face it, these last couple of years have been mighty tough, and a lot of healing is needed, and that's what I think my films do. They provide a context for understanding healing and the vulnerability that it takes and the courage that it takes to be able to change one's life. You know, you start out with, an aspiration and an intent. I'm going to tell the story, but it doesn't come sequentially. Frequently people will tell the most important part of the story much later into it. And the time that it's spent there, there's a lot of time just to be and observe. I found that in listening, there was, not all these people have educations, and many of them have really poor educations, but based on their experience, they've turned that learned experience, trips to prison, everything that goes with being in a gang, being around a gang, all that stuff, into wisdom. So when they open their mouth and they make a statement, they make it with a sense of purpose that's like, oh my gosh, it's brilliant. You know, it's really beautiful.
What was it about Homeboys that kept you here? And it was a sense of belonging. It was a sense of family. It was not being judged or criticized. It was being embraced. That's what this place is.
We give them that space. We give them that room. And we inspire and support them in such a way that it's only moving.
This here is heaven on earth.
Life throws at me what it will, but it won't topple me.
So you are an addict. Do you identify as an addict?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I don't want to die like my brother did, you know? I don't want to die as an addict.
Because when I was looking in the mirror, I could no longer see myself.
So thank you, Father Greg, for teaching us to embrace our pain, to comfort it, to soothe it, so that we can transform it. And I love you.
I might not have made it if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you.
And the only solution is love, and that love comes in community.
It's a satisfying feeling, knowing that I'm doing something for myself, knowing that I'm giving myself a chance to live. And that's that love right there that I was telling you about, you know? If that ain't love, I don't know what love is.
I can no longer hide in addiction. I can no longer hide in excuses. I can no longer hide in victimization.
Don't think for a minute that joy can be located any other place except just right here in this present moment, because all God wants to give you is a joyride.
I mean, I get excited when I see the trucks roll in and the boxes unloaded and the infield fence gets pulled up and the stakes go out and the orange netting comes up and it's like, wow. It's like Christmas and you watch them and they come in Monday and they put it together, this beautiful jewel box of a place.
For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You know, it's a chance for homeless veterans to come out and have like a reprieve, like almost sheltering them. You know, they can come in off of the streets.
It ends up being like a therapy for me, you know, because in a lot of ways I don't feel like I belong in this society, but I belong when we're together as brothers. We all belong together.
Are two documentaries that are available to Wholehearted Plus members, Homeboy Joyride and Stand Down by filmmaker Paul Steinbrenner. It's from his Called from Darkness series, and we actually have several more documentaries that will be released throughout the fall and winter by Paul. We have another preview of two more documentaries that we have by filmmaker Frances Causey. Frances Causey is an award-winning documentary filmmaker. She's been incredibly generous to include her films on wholehearted.org. And I'll have more to say about her before we bring her on. But first, I really would like to show you the trailer of Is Your Story Making You Sick? Featuring Dr. Gabor Mate, Dan Siegel, and others, and The Long Shadow.
What is a story if not an account of something? And that accounting, that storytelling, we're all doing it all the time in our head.
You might say that the fundamental pain is the loss of self, and that is a response to traumatic events in childhood. What they need for healthy development would be precisely what they missed in childhood, which is acceptance, compassion, a non-judgmental, loving attitude towards them. What do they get? Just the opposite.
You're not going to find joy in things. You're going to find joy in that peace that's inside of you.
If we have a story that doesn't map well onto what is actually going on in life, stories that we developed as a young child in really hard circumstances, are we stuck with that? Is that our reality?
Rather than looking at, I am a victim of the world, we must turn around and say, oh my goodness, the life I'm creating is coming from my subconscious.
As soon as we start recognizing that our stories are not reality, we become the storytellers of our own life.
I was born in Greensboro, North Carolina, into a world where white superiority was rarely questioned. I knew both sides of my family owned slaves. I never understood how much my own uncomfortable journey was connected to an untold history.
You can't understand United States history without understanding the role that slavery played. It actually defined the nation.
Almost every founding father was a slave owner. It was just completely integrated into the thinking of the wealthy men that wrote the Constitution.
The Southern colonies were not willing to be part of a union unless the institution of slavery was protected, and the price of protecting that institution was disproportionate power to the South, and it carries through today.
They're mad. I'm mad. We should all be mad because of what's going on right now.
We're still suffering the after effects of those two powerful regimes that comprise the bulk of U.S. history, slavery and Jim Crow. This culture is still punishing and penalizing Africans with no attempt to connect the dots between slavery, Jim Crow, and the present. It's criminal.
We had it exactly backwards in terms of the Negro problem. We have a white problem in the United States, and it's reflected in our politics, the way we do our economy, and the way we think about ourselves.
I am so grateful to see that last trailer, especially. And once again, all the themes of these documentaries are what we tackle on Saturday Night Live. Last week, we were talking about racism. Next Friday night, we're doing more on racism. So it's beautiful to see the dovetail. And Francis is with us, who is the filmmaker.
Can I read an introduction?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to read this because it's so important, and I'm so thankful to Francis and her team. Francis Causey is an award-winning documentary filmmaker and journalist who's been shown on TED, PBS, Netflix, CNN, the History Channel, and now wholehearted.org. Her films focus on a message we can all relate to: learning to live with joy and write new stories of ourselves, overcoming adversity, understanding our past and our history, and critically looking at the world around us. Her films A Long Shadow and Is Your Story Making You Sick are available now at wholehearted.org for Plus members. She really has been incredibly generous. Her movies are very powerful, and we are super proud and honored to have them at wholehearted.org. Francis, thank you and welcome to the program.
AJ, it's you, whom I want to thank for recognizing the power of individual storytelling and then in the wider world. I mean, what I really try to do in my movies is really make everything local and personal. And trauma takes many, many forms, whether it's cultural in terms of racism, personal in terms of economic injustice, so injustice is kind of at the core of what we do. And I think, what I've heard tonight, which is just so illuminating and so powerful, is this, these thinkers and these deeply caring people that you brought together to talk about mental justice and human justice, right? And so as a journalist, I'm so honored to have you feature our films. We always strive for those wider audiences, and you bring that. And so thank you. It's I and Nick. I want to thank Nick Kelso, my producer, who's has been working so closely with you, to make this happen. And so we are truly delighted to be here.
Well, yeah, Nick is amazing. I mean, he reached out to us and introduced us to your films, and he's really worked hard to put all this together. And the two of you were just here in my home not too long ago, and we were together all day, and it was a really meaningful conversation.
Right. I think I looked up, and it was like 6 hours later, and we were still talking. And what I love about what you do and what we do, it's like I'm a journalist, but I'm also a human first. And so the intersection of me as a human and how I bring those about in my films intersects perfectly with the amazing work that you're doing. And so we connected on that level, and it was, you were speaking a language that we understood, and I think our language of humanism speaks to you. So I am among the many who are your acolytes.
Well, we appreciate that. There's a lot of people here working hard, but I really want the viewers to really understand how much work and time and money and effort goes into making a documentary, and documentaries like this that take a lot of courage and a lot of risk in making. And you have done that over and over successfully. And then you have generously shared it with the world, shared it with us to make it available to as many people as possible. Whereas we've tried to work with other documentarians that were not as generous. And I really just want to honor you and highlight that you have really gone out on the edge where others won't. And it's really uncommon for filmmakers to make their films so widely available without concern for making sure you can get every dollar you can out of it. I really appreciate it. And I'm just so grateful that you've come into our lives.
Well, we feel the same way. I mean, it takes on average about 5 years, which is really probably hard for a lot of people to imagine, maybe who are on the Zoom, but it takes about 5 years to make a film, because we take on the most intractable subjects, right? And we research them. I read on average about 30 books per film, because I want to absolutely get it right. Like with mental justice, it's like for Is Your Story Making You Sick? It's like we brought together 8 incredible human beings. And what I wanted to do there was to really break down the nuts and bolts of our minds and how they work, and how you can, for instance, set boundaries. I think one of your earlier guests talked about boundaries, right? Boundaries are it's a cornerstone of mental health. So where does that get off track, right? We have, seeing Dr. Mate just, lifts my spirits, because it takes me right back to our interview with him, right? And so what we want to do is as journalists, as I want to do as a journalist, is really dissect that whole process in only a way that maybe a journalist can, and have it be for all people, not just a particular but a human experience, and try and understand how the mind works, and provide a roadmap for people so they can actually use the film as a way to, we live, as Dr. Lipton says, we live most of our time unconsciously in the past. And what enables us to get into the present, right? And so we actually see people doing it. And so when Linda and Mark Pirtle brought the idea to me, and it was something that I had done in my own personal life, I know you've done in your life, and many of the folks on the call tonight, in the Zoom have done too, or hoping to do. So, and The Long Shadows, the first film I've actually ever been in myself. I really am a behind the scenes person. But I grew up with this as a really, really conscious, very, very resilient child. I had grown up with this terrible racism in the South. And so, that was a story that Sally and I felt like we needed to tell in a way that had never been told before, which is a white person kind of saying, okay, this is an unknown history in our country. And and I think most of the folks on this call are human, right? And care deeply. And so when there are narratives out there that haven't been told, sign me up.
That's it's so important that people watch your documentary. And I also want to really encourage people to come next Friday night to our Straight Talk show, where we're going to have Reverend Bridge Feltus talking live all about the inherent racism in our culture. And she does such an amazing job. We were so blown away by her teaching last week that's why we've invited her to be on our show. So now is the time. Let's face it, we are having to change so many parts of our way of thinking. Obviously, we have to change our relationship to the environment. And the time is now that we have to change our relationship to recognizing the inherent racism that we don't even realize because we've grown up with it and we've lived with it. And, and so I appreciate that someone like yourself as a white woman has dedicated so much time to creating this film. It is so important. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Scott. And it'll be a great primer for folks leading up to your discussion next week. It's the perfect primer for that.
So again, people can find the film by going to Wholehearted.
Wholehearted.org. It's available to Plus members. So if you go to wholehearted.org and you click the Plus tab at the top, everything on that page is included in the membership, including The Long Shadow and Is Your Story Making You Sick and Homeboy Joyride and Stand Down, as well as other movies and specials and shows and educational series. I just wanted to point out that Is Your Story Making You Sick and The Long Shadow are only two of Frances Causey's films. And if you go to francescauseyfilms.com, you can see an overview of all of the movies that she makes. And you can also reach out to her and Nick, and they can set up a special screening. They can share the film with your community. They can help you get involved if one of the films speaks to you and you want to go further with it. So I really encourage you to reach out. Her website's a good resource, and we will link directly to it from wholehearted.org. So if you can't remember all of it, you can find a direct link at wholehearted.org. But Frances Causey Films, I encourage everyone to go to that website.
I'm pulling up right here on wholehearted.org where people can find it. Again, you go to the plus, and then once you go into the plus, you go to the plus specials, and there they are, the documentaries that we've just seen, little trailers for tonight. Long Shadow, Con Man, and then of course, Is Your Story Making You Sick and Homeboy Joyride. Thank you so much. And what's next for you, Frances?
Well, I was thrilled with the teasers you gave with Paul's work, and also the important Stand Down. We're actually taking the same way that we approach all of our subjects. We really, dig deep and try and get the nuanced parts that we really don't get in mainstream media. And we're looking at PTS in the military. Not only, so the two prime sources of PTS in the military, a lot of people don't know this, is unfortunately sexual trauma. And then we're also looking at combat trauma. And so we're profiling the incredible men and women who formed the MST, the military sexual trauma movement in this country, as well as we profile a veteran who's done 18 deployments. And so, this journalistic approach, it's like we bring up narratives that really, really aren't out there in the mainstream, and we connect the dots to bring it home for audiences across the board.
And I'm seeing that your partner, Nick, put something really important into the chat box. He said, please feel free to contact us to learn more about hosting screening events for your community. And that is a great way to do it. Now is the time to bring people together and have screening events or even do online screening events.
Yes.
So for more information on that, email Nick, her partner, and that's nick@franciscauseyfilms.com. I'm going to read that. It's her name, Francis, Frances, Causey, Causey, films, films.com. So email nick@franciscauseyfilms.com and or go to franciscauseyfilms.com to learn more about the work you're doing. Thank you, Francis. It's great to meet you.
You too, Scott. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
All right. We are kind of in the home stretch here. And a reminder that during the after show, Mark is going to do some comedy for us. And we're going to answer questions that you might have that have come up for you about anything around addictive behavior, codependence. Trish is our resident expert on codependent behavior here.
I'm the model for you to.
Yeah, AJ is going to be the model. No, we all have done codependent. We've all had our enmeshed codependent moments, and some of us may still be finding ourselves in that trap. It's hard.
It's also it's a social program. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we are going to take questions, but we've got one more presenter. Tell us about
We've got
we're going to see
two
next.
more, actually.
Two more.
But we're going to start with, and so much about this show tonight has been about music and about comedy. They all share voice, in speech and being present. This next clip is very important to me. I'm incredibly shy, and even hosting a program like this is super uncomfortable for me, or co-hosting or answering questions, being on camera. And my role at Wholehearted, I knew that I would need to start being like public and doing justice to the people we work with, explaining why I think programs should be available to people and why people should engage in them. One of the people that I reached out to help me personally, her name is Dr. Shannon Wong Lerner. She is a specialist with speech coaching, communication coaching. She has so many gifts to offer, and she has helped me tremendously to the point where I can be here and feel somewhat comfortable presenting. I have a pre-recorded interview that she and I did for you to watch, and we have numerous programs that we're going to be integrating her work into coming this fall and later this year.
All right.
Dr. Wong Lerner, welcome to the Wholehearted Studio.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. We've been working together for many months, and it's always been through Zoom, and today's the first day that we've been able to meet.
Yeah, it's been momentous, I feel like.
So tell me a little bit about what brought you to a place of identifying that the best way to help people with their voice and the way they show up is to identify who they are authentically, as opposed to trying to mimic what they might see on TV or what might be expected of them.
Sure. So I actually have a varied background. I have a background in performance, and that's one of my great loves. And I noticed for myself, as someone who was not someone who just came to it naturally. So I wasn't a theater kid. I didn't shine brightly when I gave speeches in school or anything like that. I realized that I came to the table with a completely different set of experiences that made me respond differently as a speaker. And so when I started to see people, mostly my students in university when I taught, I noticed that people like me, so, a lot of ELL speakers, a lot of diverse people, and people who didn't naturally feel comfortable when they were speaking in public or in a classroom, we had a different set of I guess, skills and gifts that weren't necessarily being highlighted or valued. And so that's something I wanted to bring out. And so I went on from there to teach in Korea and then at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And I found that a lot of the students that came to me and gravitated to my courses, they weren't the super extroverted students. They weren't the theater kids. They weren't the students that would just like shine immediately and get an A. These were the students that were actually terrified. And I developed a whole system of performance based on the needs of these students and then eventually my clients too. And so, yeah, my process and my approach is, I feel like, really different than a lot of public speaking coaches for sure.
The way that you work with individuals like me was the exact opposite of what I was expecting. I was looking for somebody that would help me like, okay, what are the traits or what are the ways I have to kind of change myself so that I'm a reasonable speaker? Like, how do I practice? How do I act that out? And one of the things that the first conversation was, you said your approach is the opposite. It's about clearing out all of the layers that get in the way of who someone's or what someone's authentic voice is. And that's more than just what it sounds like when it comes out, but that has to do with presence and voice and even past traumas. And that resonated with me because that's exactly what we talk about at Wholehearted, but it never occurred to me that voice and speech would have any kind of integration with that.
Yeah, I'm really excited just to, be here with you now and to meet you in person and just see your growth. And I think that is why I've always done this work. Whether I was working for a nonprofit or in the university or just as a coach, it's exciting. It's like hard to explain, the thrill that you get to see someone come out of their shell. If you can even think that if you ever watch the Nature Channel and you watch like a deer walk for the first time, or you like see a chick come out of its shell and it's just seeing everything for the first time anew. And that's what it's like coaching for me in the particular way that I do, is I get to renew myself. I get to renew my values, my beliefs, my approach through my clients' eyes.
That's beautiful. One of the pieces I think that it's core to what you do, that at least the way I perceive it is, you help individuals understand how they can belong versus fitting in.
Mm-hmm.
You're the host of a podcast called The Intersection, and you talk to like really interesting people that are doing meaningful work with their lives, and they come from such different backgrounds. Do you want to share a little bit about the program and maybe a particular episode or two and where people can see it?
Sure. So it's called The Intersection, Diverse Folks Converse. Every time I would reach out to a guest, they would ask, well, what are your questions, or what is the theme you want to do? And I would say, what is the theme you want to do? And like, what is something that nags at you at night that you feel like keeps you up at night and you really want to talk about it, and you feel like you don't have an outlet otherwise? So someone who's been a scholar, someone who is a scholar, someone who's a storyteller, has been a longtime professor and speech coach and, critical thinker like me, I'm able to take any topic and then just give them the full support and help them develop it.
I think it's rare for people to even receive the message that who you are is okay and who you are wants to be heard. And I think together we're going to make a little bit of a dent in that, try and change that. You can learn more about Dr. Shannon Wong Lerner at wholehearted.org. We will have a page on there that will link to her podcast and the upcoming programs that we're going to be publishing together. Thank you again for coming today, and it's been wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And I know we're going to see more of each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of magic happening tonight, and Mark Lundholm has transformed into these two young men. Tell us who's here, AJ.
We have Ethan and we have Grant Webster. Ethan is our operations manager and Grant is his twin brother. They are also artists, and they did put together a music video for us. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about their passion for music and artistry and what it means to them I know that you both during COVID started a venture, to raise money for the Sacramento Food Bank called Curbside Concerts, where you would bring your music to people's curbsides because they couldn't go out because of COVID, play music, and you raised thousands of dollars for the Sacramento Food Bank.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you for that great and accurate intro, AJ. You pretty much just summed it all up. It was a venture that we did that all started when our neighbor was like hearing us jam and said, "Oh, music, I haven't heard that in a while. You guys should go to people's doorsteps." So that's basically what we did. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to prompt people to donate to the food bank, because we knew that a lot of people were looking for ways to help out, but just didn't have a good opportunity. So we just played for tips and donations to the food bank, spread some music, and it was a great time.
And we shouldn't be saying this in the past tense because we are still available for curbside concerts anytime. Just keeping it going.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So how can somebody find out more about your band, Cubicle Revolutionaries, if they want to contribute to this? You are based in the Sacramento area, so you probably can't hop on a plane and do this in Florida, but maybe you can inspire other people who are musicians to do something similar in their community and raise money for something that's important to them.
I would hope so. Yeah. So, we have the basics. We got our stuff on YouTube. We're actually dropping our first single. This single you're about to see, we're going to have it on Spotify in the works in a couple days shortly. Other than that, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the works.
Yeah. So if you do live in the Sacramento area and you're interested in getting a little like music gram from Curbside Concerts 916, you can search Curbside Concerts 916 on Facebook and DM us, hit us up there.
That's fantastic. This show has been about connection. It's been about coming together. You're both twins, so you have a special connection. Do either of you want to just say something for a minute about what music has meant to you and your relationship?
Yeah. Well, both of us have just always loved music. We've always loved basically every type of music that we hear, and we couldn't decide on one genre of music to do. So we wanted to combine all the genres of music that we like in our musical project. And music in general just has this way of connecting people. And that's kind of what we want to do, is use our music to connect people.
Yeah. I just love how, you can have people who are in a very similar style and they work great together, or you can have people from a completely different style and they can still make awesome music together. So it really has a way of bringing people from different communities together, which, you would never expect. So again, that's what we try to play to.
That's wonderful. I mean, we specifically put your music video before we go to the after show because we wanted to end on a high energy, fun note. And that was what I took away when you showed me the sneak peek of the video. It's really fun. It's high energy. You made this just for this show. Mm-hmm. And I know you've just started working here at Wholehearted for the last month. You're doing a fantastic job. I just met you. Both of you are quickly becoming one of my favorite, twins to be around.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contributions. We're going to watch your music video now.
Thanks a ton.
Here we go. Cubicle Revolution.
Yes.
Narrate.
mine. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to whine. I just be tired of standing in line. Give me those feelings so sublime, ayy, ayy. Give me those feelings so sublime, ayy, ayy. Give me those feelings so divine, ayy, ayy. Give me those feelings so divine, yeah, ayy.
Well, the magic continues. The twins have transformed back into Mark.
I'm sure they're sad about that change
They
for
can't
those
find
guys.
their hair
Young,
anymore.
virile, nice hair, talented, musically inclined to, oh yeah, hi, welcome back. Yeah.
So that was Cubicle Revolutionaries. Undertone to their song is codependency and knowing your self-worth. But they did it in an upbeat tempo and left us with the final musical performance.
Yeah, it was really, really awesome. Well, we are going to flow into the after show. And want to remind everybody that we will be sending out a replay on Monday or Tuesday. Also, it shows up on our YouTube channel. The Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe YouTube channel is got all sorts of great stuff, including a lot of the Street Talk shows that Trish and I have done, a lot of the Sacred Sunday shows that I do. And by the way, I had made a couple of mistakes today. I had said Thursday night is Jeff McBride. It is Wednesday night. Thank you, Deborah, for pointing that out to me. It is Wednesday night. It's July 28th. And so stick around, because for our after show, we are going to have a lot of time with Mark, and we're also going to answer your questions. So if you do have questions about what you've seen tonight, pop them in the chat box now, and we will address them. And here we go. We're going into the after show.
I do just want to remind people that please support Saturday Night Alive by going to globalpeacetribe.com. Make a donation if you can. If you don't have extra funds for donation, but you can benefit for some of our programs, if you purchase anything from wholehearted.org, use the coupon code SNA, all lowercase, to save 25%. We are giving all of the proceeds to Saturday Night Alive.
Thank you.
And if you want to be really generous, you're welcome to sponsor one of these shows. And we really invite you to show up and really hold support for this community.
You know, I'm gonna embarrass him for a moment. An example of that is, you may have seen this wonderful fellow right here. This is Jerry Anderson. He's our mystic abbot who bounces back and forth between the United States and Puerto Rico, where he is the steward of 10,000 acres in the Mystic Monastery. And Jerry was a fan of the show. He came on board as a sponsor. And on August 14th, we're going to be doing a show with Jerry. Kristen Hoffman is coming back as our co-host. And it's all going to be about healing through the power of love. So that's how it happens. You know, our tribe is growing, and that Jerry, people are saying, who's that wonderful guy smiling during all the shows? And that's Jerry Anderson. And you'll be learning all about Jerry on August 14th. We love you, Jerry.
Love you too.
All right. So Mark, what stands out for you and what you've seen so far tonight?
The power of the unity here, the diversity in people coming from all walks of life and all runs of life and all crawls of life. There's a real sound. I'm an observer. There's four kinds of comedians. There's an observer, there's a storyteller, there's a joke writer, Carrot Top, and the last one doesn't really count. Okay, but it's I love our sound guy, Lucas. I love him.
We do love Lucas.
He's amazing, man. Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to
Coach Academy with Twinkle.
I was trying to translate some of Trish's stuff while she was, this one was easy. This one was scary for me for a minute because I thought she was going to go away.
Like, hey, I love you. I'm sending you good vibes. Without doing the, like, because I'm there's a lot of things I'm removing because it's inappropriate now.
How do you gesture that you want to receive those vibes?
Oh, I just
You just give them.
do the no. I know. I got that. I'm self-sourcing. My thanks, God, for teaching me that.
The passion behind what everybody's talking about is really the glue. You know, there's when you find something that's a passion and you make it a profession, that's one of the greatest gifts I've ever been allowed to experience. But we were talking about the different stages of, you know, wellness and mind, body, spirit, heart, soul, path, passing it on, teaching. You guys have a very big tribe, as it turns out. It's always been one of my favorite words on the planet, tribe. I've always liked that word since I was a little boy. And it's a pretty cool tribe. I think that the format you have is cool because it's diverse. It's not linear. It's you know, next week's show is different than last week's show, and this week's show is different than all of them so far. But there's a sense of humor here that I have tapped into with everybody too, pretty much. You know, you got a couple people in chat that don't have a sense of humor at all, but you know who they are.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. But listen, that's Sam Kinison said, it's not getting everybody to like you. It's getting a small percentage that love you.
Yeah,
right? And I left out a word there, but it's the passion behind the healing and the wellness that is all encompassing. I mean, kids could watch this show to a degree.
Yeah,
a lot of it's over their heads.
Yeah,
if they're 5, 6, 7 years old. But I bet you have guests that aren't.
Yeah.
You know, some of the music and some of the ha-ha. I could do some vanilla stuff for kids all the time. I work with adolescents all the time. I mean, as young as 6 years old, about chances and choices, choices and consequences. And it's not, you know, scared straight. And it's not, you know, doom and gloom. It's, you got two choices. You know, my boy, when he was a kid, I learned this about him. I give him two choices that I can live with. The argument I win is the one I don't have with a little kid, right? He's like 4. And I said, you got oatmeal for breakfast, right? You ready for breakfast? He goes, I want pancakes. I said, well, you got oatmeal for breakfast, or lunch is at noon. That's 4 hours from now. So you got breakfast, which is oatmeal, or you can wait till lunch if you're not that hungry. Dad, I want pancakes. I go, here's your two choices, oatmeal and lunch. Oatmeal's now. Lunch is at 12. He goes, oatmeal. I said, that's a pretty good choice. Really. And I'm looking at my wife's over there, and she's looking at me going, like, how did you think of that? You know what I mean? Because I'm a 4-year-old, basically. I want a bunch of choices and stuff. I'm really immature. So, but that particular childlike reasoning was, I could use that with patients and soldiers and astronauts and inmates and people I work with all the time. If you keep it super simple, it's almost like kindergarten again. And kindergarten, for a lot of us, could have been fun, distracting, healthy, educational, easy, safe. Safe is number one.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I answered your question. Sometimes I don't.
Well, you know what I do like? I like that you brought up choices and consequences. And again, the wholehearted approach, TJ's conscious recovery approach, Love Coach Academy approach, it's not about punishment. We're leaving the old paradigm of right, wrong, good, bad, judgment, punishment. And we're entering a world of choices and consequences.
Yeah,
and that's a really important distinction.
Can I intersect and say that I would even go further to say that it's not even about choice. Like addiction, for example, isn't a choice. People don't choose to become addicts. They're simply trying to survive and trying to adapt and trying to escape pain. If an animal is chomping down on my arm, and if that is happening to someone emotionally, you don't have a choice really how you respond.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, you know, Marcus got some pretty interesting perspective on this. And I remember a conversation we had years ago where I was saying, but you did have a choice. You just didn't know what your choices were. And you kept saying, no, AJ, you don't get it. I didn't have a choice.
And that's not a cop out. There is the one thing. I've been sober 32 years. I got clean in 88, came off the street. I was 120 pound, shake and bake, look and cook, tweak and peak, thump and bump street guy living under a bridge. I mean, that's not what I open a corporate show with, that resume right there. But I couldn't get out of my own way. I couldn't do anything but be in harm's way. I couldn't do anything but be collateral damage in it incarnate. I'm a hand grenade. When I go off, everybody closest to me gets hurt and pays the price. I lived like that for a long, long time. What I didn't know that as I had a responsibility. We don't use the word fault in my groups. We don't use the F word, fault.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. It's your responsibility. And one of the tumors that addiction has, if it was a cancer, if addiction was a cancer, eating away at what God gave you or the universe provided, one of the tumors is I don't have a choice. It's one of the things that grows and grows and grows and takes over. I don't have a choice. I do have a choice to ask for help, which is part of my nature as an addict, criminal, alcoholic, substance use disorder person. I don't want to ask for help. I think I should know already, or I should try to guess better next time. So I'll tell people out there listening, please, please, please. I don't know. Will you help me? Best thing you can say.
Absolutely.
Mental health, wellness. I don't know. Will you help me? Yoga. I don't know. Will you help me? Diet, different eating, music, studying. The lady who played the song, it was a great song. She said she was playing somebody else's song. She learned how. I don't know. Will you help me? Yeah, I becomes I do know. I will help you.
Yes.
And then there's 3 generations now who aren't misinformed, misguided, or mistreated because we said, is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm sending you love.
God, make him quiet.
No.
Shush. No, I codependency. Yeah, you can always spot the codependence in a public place. They have a mating call. Have you noticed?
No.
Aww. That's an Al-Anon in heat right there. That's it. That joke's not for everybody. Please email me and not them. I have such a generous take on life as a wide lane. You know, if we're on a highway to hope, a highway to healthy, a highway to wellness, there's lots of different lanes. There's lots of different vehicles. Let's use that analogy. It's wide. There's unlimited lanes. And we're going to go from here to heroic. We're going to go from now to wow. We're going to go from bitter to better. As we pay, you know, some of us, it might take us 25 years to say, I don't know, will you help me?
Yeah.
But the truth you tell is equal to the help you're going to get.
Yeah.
So if you want more help, try telling more truth. Now, what if you don't know the truth? That's the thing. You were asking me about that. Good, bad, right, or wrong. We put those on a shelf in my groups.
Good.
Good, bad, right, or wrong. I'll say, leave those in the parking lot.
Thank you.
Let's talk about what works and what doesn't work
Yeah.
so well. We got a huge not to do list when we get to prison, when we get to jail, when we get to treatment centers or halfway houses or holding cells or whatever. A lot of my history is locked up. I know what doesn't work. Now, first thought wrong. I'll try to think of a better way to do it when it doesn't work because that's my mentality, right? I'll try to go around and, oh, wait, somebody told me, I don't know, will you help me? I could do that. And then somebody gives me choices that don't have severe consequences. The consequences are benefit. I get to raise a family. I get to pay taxes. I get to show up and, you know, I get cleared to go on the plane and fly on Monday. That's stuff I didn't have in the 80s. But that's not something that you can tell an alcoholic they need or want. They got to tell you, I'm just tired of these consequences.
And you know, like a lot of people don't even know that there's other choices.
No,
So
no, we don't.
For me, I grew up in a town of 600 people to a lot of really iffy kind of experiences, some abuse and some severe codependent mom.
I was going to say, and we use words like iffy.
Iffy. Well, I'm trying not to out my parents. I love you. I'm so sorry. Kind of. But yeah, there was some, I've had a lot of experience with my own drug use and my own forms of codependent behaviors, my own addictive qualities. And it was always to belong. It was a strategy to get my needs met.
Yeah.
And what I didn't understand because of the way that I grew up, that there were other ways. Like I was like, why doesn't the universe work the way it does for everybody else? Like, why can I not think in this pathway? And it took me years to get to exactly what you're saying.
And we don't even know we're allowed to ask.
Exactly.
We don't even know we're allowed to ask. What do I do with sad? When I'm sitting here sad at the dinner table and I say, hey, I want to, and you go later, you know, whoever the people in charge are, we'll talk about that later. Later at my house meant never. Yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it meant.
Oh, and then, okay.
And it was just like, no,
Oh, wow. Okay. So we got that about anger. If you were angry, it was inappropriate and disrespectful.
Got
so
that one too.
and I didn't know that anger becomes passionate change. It's a fantastic emotion.
Yeah.
But sad becomes empathetic and connected, right? So we don't have any bad emotions, good, bad, right or wrong. We leave it in the parking lot.
That's right.
What works is when I'm sad, I get to say sad. I didn't know I could ask for that at the table at dinner. When I was 19, I didn't know. A girlfriend that I had at 21, I didn't know how to ask her, I'm intimidated by you because you're so good. I'm afraid you're going to leave me. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to ask those questions. Nobody said, I don't know, will you help me, as an example.
They probably didn't know that either.
You
Your
know,
parents didn't know
that's
that
the
either.
thing. So we don't blame thrower them either.
Yeah.
The parents or the people.
Oh, hang on. I love that word.
Blame thrower.
Okay, that one costs
That's a new one.
$7.95
Yeah.
subscription.
He's got-
yeah,
he's
you can use that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of these.
I
He's got
write
Shame Grenade. That was
love-
one of my favorites.
Shame Grenade's one of my
Shame grenades and blame throwers.
Yeah, and how devastating are those things? You know, like the parents didn't know. We don't know what we don't know. What they didn't know. What they didn't know in the generation before them. So we get to be the ones that inform. My kid's Grayson, the youngest, he's 14. He's got recovery tools. He's got a very, very simple language about feelings, and he's never been loaded or locked up and been to a meeting. You know, he's never been to a 12-step group because his parents, my ex-wife, she's a goddess. She's amazing. She's been sober 26 years now. A fantastic mother. And she and I, turns out there's no ex-kids in a divorce. Who knew? Right? So we take good care of that kid because we're married to him.
Yes.
Right? And so we're really good friends, Julie and I. But she will, and I will, independently and then as a team, teach him the things we didn't know.
Yes.
Because our parents didn't know, and now he knows. So there's two generations now that know they can ask a question
Or get empathy.
Oh,
or
yeah.
learn how to connect through vulnerability, to create intimacy through vulnerability and trust. Like we didn't get taught that. Nobody got taught that.
No. If it was nice, it wasn't going to last.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
in my house I grew up, there was
Nice
a lot
meant
of
scary.
Nice was scary because it was going to end.
Yeah.
And if it's good, it isn't mine. If it's bad, give me 3. Normal people don't laugh right there, but guys like us, we do. Normal people,
What's normal?
Well, here's what normal is. Normal means most. Most people on the planet don't have mental health issues.
Are you sure about that?
No, I don't know. I'm the comedian. You guys I know this table isn't normal.
No, but you know, I tell you honestly, my father, rest his soul, when I was around 16 years old, he put his arm around me and said, "Son, now that you're getting older, you're going to discover that everyone in the world is crazy.
Yeah.
Except for you and me."
Yeah, well.
And frankly, son, no, he's not done. And frankly, son, as you're getting older, I'm really beginning to wonder about you. And there it is. We all are crazy in our own ways.
Well,
it's just that some crazy is a little bit more socially acceptable or culturally acceptable than others.
What I'll tell people, because I'm not cured. I didn't get clean and cured. I didn't get sober and sane. My best day is a manageable level of cuckoo. That's what I'll describe it as, a manageable level of cuckoo. And I'm literally okay with that.
Yeah.
Because the flight attendant's not going to know that I'm buried in some kind of steam and resentment. Or the people on the road on the way back from Sacramento, and I'm driving back to San Jose, they don't need to know that I'm exhausted, right?
Mm-hmm.
My emotional content is not going to cost you anything. A manageable level of cuckoo. And I mean that with all due respect. I'm not a clinician. I don't have any letters after my name. But I do 800 hours a group every year with people who are dying to get some answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give them shortcuts like manageable level of cuckoo. It's a pretty good day.
Yeah.
You know, and normal, I'll give you an example. Here's how you find out if you're normal right now, anybody who's watching. If you've ever used the term, ready? If you've ever used the term unused sick days, you're a normal person.
I have never used the term unused sick days. But
Case in point, my sister.
Wait, I've never actually had a job that gave me sick days. Oh.
Same answer, Your Honor. Asked and answered, Your Honor. Okay, yeah. Normal people use words like hilarity and grace and hope and upbeat, and we learn those languages eventually. We didn't learn those words at home. No. We used words like allegedly, Dad. Allegedly. Probable cause, misdemeanor, right, was a fork in somebody's, it was really crazy growing up. But a manageable level of cuckoo now means I can talk that, speak that, learn that language from a patient who's at a treatment center that's 55 years old and she's never told anybody she was raped.
Yeah.
She'll tell me as a clown after 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm no threat. I'm safe. It's crazy what will happen because I made it safe for her. She's never told anybody in her life. This is just a couple weeks ago. 55 years old, just said, I need to tell you this. I've never told anybody this. And it was me she chose because, Mark's funny and he's safe and he's making fun of those normies, right? I talk about over and over expecting different results. The definition of
crazy.
No, Cowboys fan. Anyway, right? So you're going to get email about that one. I hope not. All right. But I do that.
Send them to you.
Oh yeah. You can send me
them.
that stuff. I'll let my people answer. They always write, thank you for your opinion.
Oh my God. Jerry Jones is in the chat box. He just, no, I'm joking.
I always, did you say Jerry Jones? Oh yeah. Well, not normal.
Yeah. Well,
not normal.
You're going to go
Mr.
down
Jones.
on the Cowboys. Right?
Yeah. Listen, oh my gosh. So, but and listen, humor will flip somebody on their rear end. They'll be embarrassed and they'll get angry and all that stuff happens. We do that. I'll tease somebody sometimes about their sense of humor or HR. I do a lot of corporate stuff. I live right near Silicon Valley. It's like 18 feet from my house. And Oracle and eBay and Google and these places that want motivational stuff, they'll read the story or they saw the play in New York or they saw some kind of thing that went from the street to the stage. There's a lot of story in Mark, right? But everybody in the audience has a story. Yeah. Right? It's just my turn to tell it. So I'll go to a corporate thing and HR will vet me. And they'll say, we saw a lot of stuff on YouTube that's got colorful language and it's racy. And I'll say, okay. They'll say, well, they hired you to do this motivational thing. We don't want you to know that language. And I'll say, well, you're not going to get that language. I know how to do this. And you might want to work on your attaboy there a little bit. You're going to start with, you're going to tell me what not to say after hiring me.
Yeah.
Well, it's just what I'm talking about. HR guy. You ever meet someone who takes themselves so seriously you don't have to? You know what I mean? Like, how you doing, Bob? Good, you? Tell your face, Bob. It hasn't figured out good yet. It might pop off your skull if you're ecstatic, Bob. But HR, if you're in HR and you don't have a great sense of humor, fire yourself, please. You know what the resource is in human resource? It's the human.
Yeah.
Human resource is redundant.
Yes.
I mean, this is just a personal opinion, but I've done hundreds of these pitches with places that, the last one, Oracle, they make 8 figures a year. I don't come close to that. And I'm doing a show for 25 of them that they just want to laugh on Friday.
Yeah.
Because times are tough. So I said to them, did you read the title of the workshop? Did you read it? And they, no, we didn't read it. We just saw that last year we had Condoleezza Rice. That was our speaker. So, oh yeah, she's big ticket, big name. A lot of dollars. You probably had saved some money this year for me. I guess I'm here to provide balance. And they started laughing a little bit. The name of the workshop says humor begins and ends with HR. And sometimes they don't laugh. They don't get it. They go, oh, sounds reasonable. Yes, continue. But about 2 minutes in, I was teasing the HR guy. I said, you have a pretty good sense of humor, right? He says, yeah. I said, can I curse? He goes, no cursing. I said, okay. I said, I won't curse, but thanks for the hotel. Thanks for the hotel. Because they gave me a nice hotel. And then it's such a nice hotel that you ever stay somewhere and they give you a hotel, whoever you're working with, and you got a view of a better hotel from your room. You're looking out your window and you go, I could have been staying there. That's what you want from your place, that you're staying a nicer place to stay. Someday it'll be the Sheraton, right? So, but I was staying at a nice hotel and I said, I used to steal from places like that. That's the only experience I had with nice hotels. And I said, the hotel is so nice, the room I'm in, and these are the 25 people in there, and the HR guy's over here. And he's on the fence. He wants me to do well, but he doesn't want to get any email on Monday about the comedian. He just doesn't want that. So I said, Frank, his name's not Frank, but I'll call him Frank because people might know Oracle. I'll say Frank was very intent on no adult language. He said, no adult language, right? I said, I'm going to use a lot of adult language, words like 401k, retirement, healthy urine stream, grandparenting skills, right? And they laughed. They laughed. And Frank was okay. And then I said, but no curse words. So here's what I'll tell you, though. Thanks for the hotel. Here's how nice. The hotel has a phone in the bathroom. next to the commode on the wall, there's a phone. How busy are you? When you can't sit down and take a short break from your day. Frank jumped up and then sat back down like nothing happened. I looked around like this, and I looked at him and I go like this. I looked at it like this, and he goes, afterwards, he came back up to me and he goes, I am so sorry. I said, what are you sorry for? He goes, I didn't really give you a good attaboy. You were right. I said, the next person that comes in to talk, maybe you just like tell them what you do want instead of you can't. Because I don't know what family you grew up in, but when they say can't, I'm doing it twice.
Is that a challenge? Like that's what I heard in my head when I was, oh, you can't do that. Is that a challenge?
That's exactly what I hear. I'm immature. You can't. I'll do it twice. I have to. I ain't showing up at all. Just that authority thing, authority. My parents joke. This is very safe. It's a sexual joke, but it's very safe. And I'll do this in corporate. Authority meant nothing to me because it was all abused as a kid. Mm-hmm. My dad was who my dad was. He was a fully fueled. He was a machine, and you just couldn't stop him. My mom hid in the medicine cabinet for 35 years, right? Don't ask, don't tell. That was our family. We were the original don't ask, don't tell. If you brought it up, you got more of it. If you talked about it, you were unloyal, disloyal, right? Authority was, so I used to say in a corporate show, I got new stuff every year, but I'll say, when I was 16, they talked, a lot of guys in the locker room and sports, but talked about sex and stuff. This weekend we're going to have sex and teenagers. And I thought, I knew nothing about sex as a teenager, but all I knew is that if my parents could do it, it must not be any fun at all or interesting at all. I mean, my parents could do it. They're stupid. I'm not even going to bother.
Says the guy with 3 wives.
Listen. Okay. All right. So Trish is funnier than me. I'll be going now. You guys have a great
sex was in between the wives.
Oh, listen. The one thing I know how to do is take a couple of hits because I work a lot of jails and prisons, right? And if I can dish it out, I gotta take a lot of it. And you gotta learn as a performer when to let them in. When to let them say, dude, I'll do this a couple of times in groups. Somebody will go, you look like Howie Mantel's ugly brother. Howie Mantel's uglier brother. I heard that a couple of weeks ago. The guy wanted to hurt my feelings, and I go, on the board, on the whiteboard behind me, I take a marker, I go, audience 1, comedian 0. And I just wrote that. That's how we started, right? So there's nothing, it doesn't cost me anything. It's not, I got to win. But if we are passionate about what we do and we're good at it, not everybody's going to get it right away, but eventually they'll have a takeaway or 6 or 7 from this recording. And when, especially you say more people watch it later, right? Mm-hmm. At their leisure, they'll take away what they need to. And it doesn't have to be anything about me. It just doesn't. I've got an ego like every other performer. I got narcissistic tendencies like every other broken kid. Now, TJ wouldn't like the word broken, so I apologize in advance. But as a kid, it couldn't feel any other way until you learned, oh, wait, I'm not broken. I just haven't been treated very well to repair what I got. I'm a quilt with all the patches all spread out. Some of them chewed by the dog. 2 of them flushed down the toilet. I'd like to be a full quilt again. Humor did that for me for a long time. So this is a passionate place to talk about stuff that's risky. And I make a living doing that. It's almost unfair. I shouldn't be allowed to do it. I got no letters after my name.
I would love to take a little moment to read some of the comments because I see we got about 130 people.
Am I in trouble?
No. But 130 people still in our chat box or still in our Zoom room, I should say. And also we're still going live on Facebook.
Okay.
So, but I want to just read some of the things that people have been writing and I really appreciate it.
We want to answer questions too.
And we're going to answer. So I'm going through looking for questions. That's okay. I want to appreciate what Mark wrote. And it's beautiful. So let's just slow down and take this in because it's really lovely. This is how to transform non-peaceful experiences into an energy for peace. In an awakened spiritual state of oneness, God's lovingness, we embrace the non-peaceful experience, thought, feeling, or physical condition. We visualize it and accept it wholeheartedly, accepting it with lovingness, and that will transform it into an energy for peace, oneness, and lovingness. You are love. Thank you, Mark. That's beautiful.
Yeah, well put.
Yeah, beautifully. Thank you. Compliments on the show. People want to know about the sick day, so we'll get to that in a moment. But you made a comment about the sick day, right. Let's see. We've got somebody said that you're they're appreciating your authenticity and how honest you are. It's really beautiful.
When somebody says that to me, I used to blame myself for being codependent. Like I can't take a compliment. I can take a compliment. But what I want to say too is if you spot some, you brought some. I don't recognize languages that I don't speak. They sound foreign to me. So if somebody's talking and I hear authenticity, I know I speak, albeit brief, maybe a little bit, tiny patch, but I can hear authenticity. I can hear passion. I can hear integrity. I can hear, because it's a language I'm familiar with, I can hear it when I'm out in public. So back at you.
Nancy writes, the new interpretation of cause and effect is, quote, I'm a cause in my life and have an effect on you and others. And you are a cause in your life and you have an effect on me and others. So
I'm glad I never took mushrooms with Nancy. My head's already spinning right now.
Deborah Haviland writes, great comedian with sharp wit, honesty, authentic, liberating, to tell it as it is. Thank you. Good. So somebody else was copying Mark's thing. There we go. People talking about COVID being shut down again in Australia. Sorry about that.
You know what COVID taught us? Coronageddon. As it is.
Coronageddon.
Yeah. Before. At least 3 things. Zoom is here to stay forever.
Oh, yeah.
6 feet away now is not just for crack smokers and meth heads. Right. And no one named their kid Karen last year. Woo! Nobody. There's no new Karens on the planet last year anywhere in the world. They'd name them Connie or Gayla or COVID. No Karens.
Yeah.
None.
What I want to say is that you remind, I hope you take this take this in.
Okay.
You remind me of the safest man that I grew up with was my stepfather. And he taught me that you tease the ones you love lovingly.
Yeah.
And that humor is the way to move through it. And so when things got hard at our house, he would always kind of just, I remember a joke that it took me years to get. I hope this comes through. My mom, we lived in a tiny little town, 74 miles away from the nearest store that I could get socks and underwear. And my mom, I'm really shy. I'm really young, shaking. And my mom looks over at him and she's like, we have to go to this place. We have to go to Missoula, Montana. And we have to get Trisha a training bra. And he's like, what are you going to train them to do?
Oh,
and I burst into tears. I didn't get the joke.
And
it took me years to actually just realize that he was trying to make it safe for me to go through puberty. And it just took me, it took me another 5 years.
And for him to hear that in the presence of 2 females, which is like cone of silence at some point, there's and I know we're way past this now, but there's the girl stuff. There's the boy message.
Yes.
TJ talked about it. We're not allowed to touch emotions. She's allowed to feel whatever she wants. That he and she, that kind of binary deal where I'm separate from you and that's the way it's supposed to be. We don't ask. That was a nice thing for him to do, but how would you know?
I didn't. Yeah. I mean, it was such a new experience, but it was now that I look back, I love him for that because he was so trying to connect. And he was this like bikery, like truck driver guy who was just trying to take this, 13-year-old girl and just make her feel safe.
And safe sweet. Is primary for humor, especially. Now, if you're safe, you might be able to tap into humor more. However, flip that around. If the humor's there, you may walk towards safer.
Yes,
you may lean towards safe. It may appear safer on this side of the joke, which is nobody gets hurt. There's no expense there. My son, when he's really, really frustrated about something, he'll say, Dad, can I ask you a question? No jokes, please. Oh. That's his way of saying, I know what you do for a living. We have that witty repartee. He's really fast, and he and I live together in the man cave world, and we got different rules than Mom's house, appropriately so, right? But he'll say, Dad, can I ask you a question? No jokes, please. That's our code for please don't make fun of me yet, right now. Yeah. because he's, he doesn't want to be teased about it yet. It's about his girlfriend or some kind of thing that happened to football where he's scared. It's always emotional. Dad, I'm so mad right now at you. I can't choose my words. Will you help me choose my words? Because I'm mad at you. Yeah, he knows how to say that since he was like 5. I didn't know how to say that at 50.
And why does he know how to say that?
Well, because his mom and I know how to say that.
Yeah.
I forgot that part. But I mean, I learned eventually. I was 48 when he was born. I'm 62. So I was an old dad for him. I'm still an older dad. He's 14 and he's, some of the kids there, they have, let's see, parents that could be my kid's age, my daughter's age, who's 33 also. I just became a grandfather in May. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I was to say, I think I've known Grayson since he was 6.
Yeah.
And he really has grown to be, he's always been a delight, but he's really grown to be just a really good kid and young man.
He's a better person than I'll ever be, ever.
I'm not going to disagree.
Already. No, you know me a long time. Too.
He's amazing. And you've done a really good job.
How for the people watching and because if you don't have rapport with someone, that joking about their issues can be really triggering.
Yeah.
So again, your son is like, hey, not yet. And my question is really about how do you make humor safe when it's still fucking hot, and how do you make it, how do you move towards rapport and safety in humor?
Okay, so it would take probably 35 years to explain this because I want to give it its due. But here's what I'll say: the shortcut version, which is super simple, is I make fun of me.
Yes.
Before anybody else. I'll give you an example. I did that normal thing. Normal people use words like unused sick days. No criminal or people. Or I'm in a treatment center. Let's say prison. I'm in a prison, which is nobody wants to be there. The correctional officers don't want to be there. Some of the teachers don't want to be there. The inmates certainly don't want to. I want to be there. I'm the only one in the gym, 800 guys. And I'm the only one that wants to be there. So I'll ask them, hey, listen, I'm a comedian, and whether you heard of me or not, it's no big deal. I'll tell you what's important is that I want to be here today because I've been locked up, locked in, locked down a lot of my life. And I know what it's like to leave here and have that Sallyport door shut. And I'm not coming back unless you invite me like you did today. They go, wow, right? And then I'll say, but life's not fair. Some of us are in here for something we didn't do, or, and they like that. And life's not fair. We didn't have a chance, growing up, and life's not fair. I said, but life was fair. That's the first joke. How long would you be locked up for everything you really did do that you didn't get caught for? If life was fair, if you got fairness instead of justice, where would you be right now? They go, oh, I go, that one's not so easy to like because you're not clapping for that, are you? I said, normal people do 9 to 5. We do 25 to life. And they start laughing because I'm not making fun of them.
Yep.
I'm making fun of us or me.
Yep.
And that usually is like the breadcrumbs, right? So normal people know the names of everyone they've ever slept with in their life. We going to break?
Actually, we are. I think we are getting close to wrapping up for the night.
So,
all right. I don't know if I answered anybody's question. I apologize for that last one if it was over the edge.
Mark's talked enough, so I'll talk more briefly. Mark's got a whole bunch of programs all over YouTube. He does radio shows. He's all over the country at comedy shows. He's all over the country at treatment centers. He's constantly giving and constantly helping. Wholehearted.org has a whole bunch of his programs, all of them actually. And we don't normally do this until things are a little bit closer, but Mark has spent the last year writing a book called Shortcuts.
Wow.
We will be publishing that and releasing that later this year. We have the final manuscript.
Thank you for that.
So
I'm really happy. That's a good thing too. This is good. Okay.
It's your first book.
It is my first book, and
it took like 3 decades to write.
Well, thanks for putting that out there. Yeah, it's literally called Shortcuts: Better Ways to Better Days, and it's really super simple stuff. It's that kindergarten meets boot camp meets grad school experience that wellness can be. Kindergarten basics. Hey, use your inside voice here. Play nice, eat, take some rest. Here's some snacks for you. Let's be sharing, right? Boot camp, right, left. I use this in group all the time. If you're frustrated, right foot, left foot, breathe. That's it. Right foot, left foot. Breathe. Your next few responses are going to be saner, simpler, less consequences if you slow way down, brother, sister. Right foot, left foot, breathe. And grad school and recovery. There's a lot of grad school, biology, psychology, physics, dimensions. There's a whole bunch of higher education in recovery and wellness. And it's overwhelming for somebody who wasn't really great in school or didn't finish school, but school's every day. So the book is about that. It's super simple. It's not grandiose, but it's funny, and it's inappropriate. Parts of it are inappropriate for people who are, honest to God, I say this not with any kind of what's the word, disclaimer, right? You put a disclaimer out. I want people to get it, and they'll love it. But there are some people on the planet, I've learned, that don't have the same palate for language as other people. So it's not for fragile people, but it won't hurt a fly if you like who you are, if you're trying to. I promise.
You know the nice thing about a book?
What?
You can skip the page if it's too much.
Yeah, or you can close it. And Tim Ryan, my friend Tim Ryan, I use his book for a doorstop. Yeah, Tim Ryan.
People want to know your last name.
Oh, why? What did I do? Do I owe you money? Do you have a sister? What happened?
Mark Lundholm.
Okay.
Mark Lundholm.
L-U-N-D.
M-O-U-S-T.
H-O. I'm old enough to remember that
That's
show.
right.
You know how nice it is? You're like, what, 20, 22? You don't know.
34.
You don't, 34. Okay, you don't remember Boone's Farm or Banaka or
I know
Black
Boone
Michael
Farm.
Jackson or Legos that didn't make ships.
My drama teacher was
You
Grandpa
heard of
Boone.
those. You never saw them with your
No,
own
I
eyes.
saw them. I stepped on them too. Lincoln Logs.
Oh, Lincoln Logs.
I got all sorts of
See, I
stuff.
never met. She's psychic. I was going to mention that next. I didn't say Lincoln Logs. Go ahead and play the tape. Spooky. Abuse kids are real spooky when they start to read people.
It's
Right?
Mark Lundholm.
Yeah.
He's
That's right.
Google him. He's everywhere.
There's more stuff on there that I'm comfortable with, but it's Lund, L-U-N-D, Holm, H-O-L-M. I interrupted you and I feel terrible. You were going to
No, that's what I was just going to say. But Small World, my drama teacher was James Raleigh, and he was Grandpa Boone. You mentioned Boone's Farm Wine.
Come on.
He was Grandpa Boone. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How many nights were you ever a drinker?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember Strawberry Hill?
Oh God, yeah.
Normal people don't answer that question that way.
No.
Oh God,
Yeah,
yes.
that was-
there was this time I was throwing up in my mind. Normal people don't. You ask somebody a question like that. Well, let's see, Boone's Farm. I think I saw that in the liquor store.
Yeah.
It's not you and I.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And
That was so
I'm
fun.
over here thinking, how many flavors of jam do they make?
Yeah. That's because you're an innocent, wholesome, nice, normal guy.
Wholehearted.
Oh, wholehearted. Yeah.
I am not.
Yeah.
But
AJ's one of those guys who gets
but
it,
I'm
man.
attracted to people that are or try to be.
A lot of us live with that saying, like, if it ain't broke, we haven't touched it yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that kind of experience. He's not one of them. If it isn't broke, you might want to leave it alone. If it is broke, I'll help you fix it. That's this guy.
Yeah.
All right, I got to wrap us up.
Okay.
All right.
I can't count the times a man has said that to me.
Yes. I'm hungry. I want to go to dinner.
I can't count the times a man said that to me. All right.
Hey, thank you everybody for watching. I know this has been a different show, and I've noticed in the comments some people are going, "Oh my God, I love the show," and some people have had other feelings. And listen, we always are trying new things. But what's most important is to really drop into the beauty of the content and recognizing that we are all perfectly human. We're all spiritual beings, but we're having a human experience in these animal bodies. And so all the different approaches, whether it's through comedy, whether it's through music, whether it's through the books, whether it's through all the amazing things you're going to find at wholehearted.org, whatever it is, to find support. That's what we're doing. We're all in this together. We are one beautiful tribe of people, and we all have different ways of coping and different ways of, I've learned this and I've tried that. And that's what we're doing. You know, we're here to support each other down this path of humanity as we awaken as individuals, as we learn lessons together as individuals, and as we also awaken as a great global peace tribe to really do things in a way that's holistic and sustainable. So thank you very much for watching, especially those of you that are still watching. So thank you. And definitely join us tomorrow morning. I've got John Kay from Steppenwolf and his wife, and we're going to be talking all about how he went from being a rock star to a wildlife advocate. That's going to be really fun. And next Friday night, please join Trish and I for Straight Talk as we bring on Reverend Bridge Feltis, who's amazing, who's going to help us learn things we need to learn in a very compassionate way. And then finally, next Saturday night, Alive, all about whole brain fitness. So as always, we've got a lot of good things happening. Oh, and Jeff McBride on Wednesday night. Definitely join us. It's going to be a fun private party. So there you have it. AJ, thank you so much for bringing us in your studio. I want to give a big shout out to the man you can't see, Lucas.
Lucas is amazing.
Lucas. In the beginning, there was Lucas, and it was good.
And he gets a shout out not because of everything he did to make this happen in the studio, but because he has to deal with me day in and day out.
Well,
And he's just an epic human.
yeah. So thank you, Lucas. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a beautiful weekend. And final thought, remember, we can make any moment sacred by seeing the divine in all. Let's all practice that, including yourselves, most of all.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.